It is a culmination of a year-long league. These are the best of the best our country has to give.
Nice big stun coming in from Zazawi, but that is it. Only one, and that is it. I don't think there's more. And you're grand champions.
Look at the glee, look at the joy. He's finally broken the curse. The shouts of true victory.
It's mine.
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 Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here at day 2 at the HSEL, powered by VS Gaming. And of course, a big shout out to all the teams in attendance and all the schools and parents. Worth saying one more time to open up the day that it's pretty fantastic what you're doing for these kids. And hopefully this is the start of even more events of this nature.
Yep.
Of course, big shout out to VS Gaming who've made the event itself possible. So it's fantastic being. I'm so happy to be part of this, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah, I'm happy to be part of it. I'm also happy that people have an excuse to leave school officially for gaming. You know, it's like, all right, guys, we've got to travel halfway across the country. We're going to go play games, have ourselves a good time. So if of any kind of school excursion, I can imagine that would be at the tip top of the most exciting list at any given time. So the more of this that keeps happening, the more exciting it gets. And it's an opportunity to get better, opportunity for future career prospects. Some can change in the bank as well. So there's basically no downside, except some of the kids have to wear a school uniform. That kind of sucks. But the rest of it's fine. So.
What do you, out of curiosity, I mean, I assume a lot of people are going to see this and maybe they'll appreciate our opinion on the matter, but obviously there's almost like a question around, do you treat this almost as like, when it comes to attire, because you mentioned the uniform, there's almost a question around, do you wear a school uniform, like as if you were perhaps like a chess player or in debating, or you know, what do you reckon the best way forward is for a school?
I kind of feel that these games are really stressful, and you sweat a lot sometimes when you're playing on stage or when you're in a high-pressure, tense environment. So flowing clothes, so I think at best tracksuits, but I don't think like suits, ties, jackets. That's probably not a good look. It gets really hot in the booths.
Oh yeah,
especially there's 5 guys there. All 5 of you are really into the game. You're very intensely focused, and in those kind of situations, let's just say the odors are not necessarily conducive for concentration.
I hear you. So I think I would probably both agree. The first place choice is something that kind of looks like a rugby jersey, but made of the same material that we use in esports, which is more of like a loose-fitting. I guess you normally also use like a, I don't want to say nylon, but it is like a whatever that is. You know, it's loose and a little bit shiny material. That's kind of your probably best place. And yeah, go easy on the kids. The uniforms will be a little bit hard in here. So, anyways,
it's hard to access with your underarms with deodorant. It's just sucked in.
Hey, maybe you have the short sleeve version, hide on your blazer. But yeah, I think fair point. So if you guys are watching this at some point, probably a good idea to invest in that. But the fact that there's any investment whatsoever is absolutely amazing. So we'll leave it at that. It's kind of amazing that we get the opportunity to even talk about this kind of thing. For those of you who don't know us, Snare and I involved in some of the larger events. Obviously, also VS Gaming, but the likes of Comic-Con events, etc. So it's quite amazing to go from, for us as well, to go from dealing with the best players in the country, you know, the provincial guys, to use an unfair rugby analogy, and then come down to what is you know, high school level. We get to see like the future players involved.
We're basically talent scouts out here this weekend.
Yeah, I like that. There's and there is some fantastic talent out there as well. I mean, we've seen how it's possible for youngsters to be involved in even the highest level of gaming in South Africa. When I think about for a moment the likes of Mistim, who's a CSGO player playing here, this is a person who came, I believe, 3rd at Comic-Con this year. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I mean, it's no different in my mind to when you have, say, a rugby player, for example, who's now got his provincial colours, but not provincial in the sense of playing for, you know, the under 18 squad, but literally playing for like the official Western Province, you know, the actual Stormers squad. So it is amazing that the lack of the physicality that's required for this allows you to literally be a student and potentially playing for, you know, one of the best teams in the country and potentially even representing your country overseas. And it is a big deal. I think that just something to put in perspective is that it really is a big deal. There's a lot going on locally and internationally that is far bigger, in fact, than the local equivalent and international equivalent when it comes to sports.
Yes.
It is quite sincerely big. I mean, 500,000 Rand was the prize for Comic-Con for Dota 2.
Yep.
That's a lot of money on the line for...
Yeah, you know, a little bit of change. You can buy yourself a new mouse. or a few hundred.
And of course, that's just justifying things with numbers. Of course, the passion behind the sport is just as strong as any traditional sport. But anyways, let's get into it because we are at semi-final time here. We're going to be casting Ligbron versus Parklands College. We didn't see Parklands College yesterday.
Not at all. This is our first game seeing them in a best-of-3 setting. And already, there's not many teams in South Africa writ large with the confidence to first pick an IO. I think there's only one at the current moment. So the fact that Parklands did it, no matter what, this is going to be an interesting game, right? Because this generally requires a high level of team coordination. So they're definitely going to have to show that here today.
I'm very curious to know what position this IO is going to be playing in. I think the day of the hypercarry IRO is probably behind us. However, I do feel that in this kind of level of competition, it's more about what you're comfortable with doing over what is strongly picked up in the meta. So I wouldn't actually be opposed to see players doing unconventional things, even like a carry IO. I'm okay with that in this kind of environment. The Lich as well, we've seen this come out quite a bit from Ligbron. Obviously, it's one of Mount Chili's favorites. But interesting enough, the second hero he plays is the Lion. So they picked up both of them this time. So I guess at the very least he has options. But I imagine we'll probably see him play the Lich. It did seem to be his first choice.
Yeah, I think yesterday Childish said Bino did play one Lion game. So they're probably going to be doing that again for him today. And then, we didn't see Parklands at all, wondering where the Wisp is going to go. I mean, we could see Gyro. We did see Gyro yesterday from Ligbron. Was it Ligbron or Grey who played the Gyrocopter?
I believe it was Grey when they beat Ligbron that played the Gyro. Although I'm not sure if Ligbron played the Gyro against Glenwood.
I think they did, yeah. I think they did have one Gyro game. And if they are prepared to play the Gyrocopter, they can take it away from Parklands or just, use it against the IO itself. Oh my goodness. All right, that's going to be fun.
The other thing I want to point out is that we saw that Ubik has a pretty strong broodmother.
Yeah.
As one broodmother player to another. I like that actually, brood brother. that's what I went with. We're brood brothers now.
Brood brothers.
I can say that the way in which he played it was, I'd say, a little bit greedy to a degree. He spent a little bit more time farming than I would have expected, but the fact that he was cutting the creep wave, all that kind of stuff, textbook stuff. So I think that is something that Parklands may not be aware of yet, and that is potentially quite a big card that Ligbron can use to force their way into the grand finals.
Maybe that's why they first banned it, though. They were like, yeah, okay.
Oh, he's banned. Oh, excuse me, I'm blind.
First ban. They were like, nope. We saw something that happened yesterday. They actually taken out all the heroes that they have done well yesterday. So no Brood, no Monkey King, no Kunka. We did see some Viper being played yesterday by Grey. No, it wasn't Grey. Glenwood played the Viper. Didn't necessarily go the best, but they still played it. I'm curious to see how they're going to handle this Bristleback right now. Generally, we see one of the counters to IO Bristleback is Ancient Apparition. Obviously, the option is not available for them. And we were speaking yesterday about the reasons why many teams don't end up picking up their supports as they're opening 1-2. Because now you can't actually counter this Bristleback IO combination using your supports. You have to now rely on your core heroes to make that happen. But they're just going to stick to their comfort. They played these three heroes practically every game yesterday. The one game that Ligbron didn't play the Magnus, they were against the Magnus, but they've been involved with Mag every game. So just keep the train going. Why not?
I also want to say that one of the heroes that is better against Bristleback here is the Monkey King. You can run that as a core. But obviously one of the heroes that can stand up to him due to the ability to just heal back all the damage he receives. But the fact that they banned it as well makes it quite nice. I was thinking there is the likes of Ursa still in the pool that still really noms the Bristleback.
Yeah, we saw Ursa yesterday.
Yeah, and you really do need to address this problem. We've seen in international competitions and local alike that when Bristleback gets ahead, he's very, very hard to shut down. Yeah. And often it requires, after a good start, that you find somebody completing a full Silver Edge, which is not easy and often not an item that many cores want to rush into.
Yeah.
So having to be in a position where you're forced to do that, to deal with this problem, buys you such a large window of time to dominate your opposition.
I wonder though if they go for Slog on the side of Ligbron. We saw them play it yesterday. Surex did play one Slog game. And there's Magnus as well, which aids in the damage. And it's a natural, one of the few buyers in the game of the Silver Edge in general. I think it's basically Slog and Monkey King that'll ever make that happen. So you have that. It's very good against the IO, pretty decent against the Shadow Shaman as well. And of course, very good against Bristleback if you do manage to pick up a Silver Edge at some point.
Are there any other, perhaps, different counters you can think of that they could potentially use? Something maybe that doesn't rely on the Silver Edge?
Maybe OD. We see that sometimes, because then what you do when you're playing the OD, just make sure that Bristleback never has any mana. Anything that actually has mana drain. At TI, OG played Gyrocopter with Diffusal Blade. Axe Diffusal has a way to counter out this Bristleback. So just make sure that the hero can't cast spells or is completely disconnected from the IO. Is the only way to go about it. Either that or just kill him, but obviously it's always easier to just kill the hero.
I mean, I guess it's kind of the problem with Bristol. It's actually not always easy to kill the hero. So it's
easy to ignore him.
You desperately do want to find some kind of solution. Not something they have at the moment. Although you did mention the mana drain, and they do have the line available to them. So there is that.
Yeah, the issue is that mana, this line's so squishy. Like Bristleback, the amount of time it takes Bristleback to cross the distance between the mana drain, Lion doesn't even want to be there for a few seconds and ends up getting brought down. This Quap of Pain is interesting that they pick it up here. So they have a lot of sustain available for them with the IO as well. This gives them some magical burst, gives them a hero that you have options to either buy the Orchid Malevolence for a silence later on in the game, or you just buy BKB, jump into the fight with BKB Shivas, go ham. Either way, though, it does mean that their only win condition isn't Bristleback. There's other ways they can go about approaching this game. Which is we were speaking about this yesterday, right? Only try to balance out the amount of damage you deal in a game and how you deal it. The one thing that they're still lacking is any meaningful lockdown. But given how tanky, Bristleback can just stay in the middle of the fight, tank things up, while Queen of Pain does damage on the periphery, and you don't really need that much control. But it does require a high degree of execution from the team. They have to trust each other.
I actually do agree with you. I mean, they're not in like a totally awful situation, because it doesn't mean you have the free game on your likes of the Embers and the Storms, because there is the Shadow Shaman that can work as a hard disabler for an individual target, but they have nothing to disable the side of them. So no real team fight controller, if you would. That's one of my issues with the Queen of Pain pickup, actually, is that it is a hero that can deal a lot of damage, but I don't think it was necessarily what they needed, because they're almost amplifying what the Bristleback is already bringing to the table. But I would have preferred something that maybe has like a BKB penetrating disable, maybe something that is has a little bit more control. But once again, I think that when you're looking at the sides, you don't know which heroes exactly they're comfortable with, and this may be a bit of a comfort, because maybe feeling that perhaps they don't want to go toe-to-toe with the Ubik mid. I mean, it looked really good. Probably the best mid, I would say, that we've seen so far. Obviously, Grey also are performing very well in that regard, but I think Ubik's pretty much been my pick. So
yeah, he's done a lot of work. Yeah, I think especially given how important he is for the team. Whereas I think from what we saw of Grey, though, more of a team effort, whereas from Ligbron, Ubik, the team sort of like lives and falls by his name. If he's having a really good game, they're probably going to win. If it's not the case, if he's having a bit of a tougher time, the game can get a bit more difficult. One thing as well, maybe the plan with the Queen of Pain is if we get to level 25, get the Scream talent, then it's fine. We get control that way.
I mean, that's fair enough, but that's also easier said than done. DK and Ricky will be the last bans of this. I'm sad to see Invoker go. Ligbron will have words after this. I'm a big Invoker fan. But none of you banned Sand King, so at least thank you for leaving that one for one of my other favorites. You mentioned before that actually that Earthshaker was a big, strong potential pick for these sides in this kind of level. I don't necessarily see that as Parklands can pick up, because I feel they need something that potentially deals some more reliable late game damage. But I think Ligbron, it's totally an option to run a core Earthshaker here.
But then if Ligbron could, then they'd have to put it mid versus the Quap, which might not be ideal.
You can run the Slark mid, right?
Oh, they actually went for the OD. Yeah, the OD is not surprising. One very common combination versus Bristleback IO. Also, the Slark's not surprising there. Parklands, I think they could actually get away with Earthshaker. It's one of the few heroes that can often catch Slark out before he's able to use the ultimate and chain disable him long enough to kill him. But yeah, you definitely do want more reliable damage. So maybe Tiny or a Void. Void, not really, because then you have to have Bristleback being outside the Chrono doing damage there. If they had the option to get the Magnus, it would have been pretty nice getting RP for themselves. But maybe Centaur, actually. Centaur can be pretty nice in this situation, because then you have massive amount of mobility with IO, as well as the Centaur between the Relocate and Stampede. You make sure that Bristleback can get into the middle of the fight without having to rely on the IO primarily. They're going to get the Void.
I'm once again, I'm okay with that. I totally understand your justification as well. It is a case where Chris is now going to have to spend some time trying to get into the back lines or find a way to separate supports potentially from the fight, as opposed to being able to truly contribute in the Chronosphere. But I did feel they needed some kind of BKB penetrating ability. Obviously, Chronosphere one of the best in the game. And also against Slark is that his ability to dispel stuns makes it even difficult to run something like a Beastmaster, where you have this fantastic disable, but if his timing is good enough, you're going to find that that's immediately dispelled. So I like this because Dark Pack is not going to protect you as a Slark. Obviously, if you're in your Shadow Dance, you're fairly safe, but even then, the fact that it negates the quality of the Shadow Dance, you're not able to produce damage as well, does mean that you have some options there. I don't like, however, that is their reliability on disabling him when he's in Dark Pack. They have nothing to go, no AoE disables whatsoever, no AoE silences, so literally when he is in Dark Pack, he's totally safe at the moment. So concern around the draft, but I wouldn't say a totally insurmountable odd by any means.
It depends on when the Queen of Pain is able to pick up Orchid Malevolence, because I think in this kind of situation, once you pick Faceless Void and you've committed to having the Bristleback going into the offlane, then you need to be able to get further disable out of your crop. So she's definitely going to be going for this more utility, disably, tempo controlling route rather than pure damage. So if she does get an Orchid, it can be quite nice, because then Surax is going to have to play very carefully unless he has BKB or the Manta style. And this game is, I like, this has some classic matchups, man. Quap versus OD in the mid lane, the Bristleback with the IO versus Slock and Magnus. Like, we haven't seen, like, and even Lion versus the Shadow Shaman. The few heroes in this game that actually have natural hexes, both of them involved in the situation. It's going to be fun.
Actually enough, the IO drops you not buying any items in start. I assume he's going to be going for that early bottle.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that as well. Just got to get through the initial stages of being a creep. But, you know, not too far off. Kind of.
Yeah, you give the tether. You know, you sacrifice your life for the sake of the Bristleback. Although that's going to be one thing that's going to suck. Like, as much as Slock can be quite useful in the later portions of the game versus the Bristleback IO combination, against BB by itself, with Essence Shift, you can do fine in the lane. Against BB and IO, it's really tough. First 3-4 levels, not going to be a fun time for the Slock. Going to be relying a lot on Mount Chitty to try and create space for him.
And so the sounds of war begin. Teams will start making their way back to creep wave. There's some blocking. One thing I haven't seen in this one, which I love, is a little bit more interaction behind the creep wave here. Just messing around with your safe lane. We haven't seen that at all in this tournament, especially with something like IO and Bristleback. You can certainly cause some damage. But Surax actually doing a nice job. He's actually making sure that if they had done it to him, he's going to keep the creep wave outside of his tower range.
Yep.
And that means he's going to be farm pretty happy and just catching that on the way down.
This is, I think the drafts are fairly balanced here between what the two teams are trying to achieve. We, again, have seen this Ligbron draft exactly yesterday, but they're definitely playing to their strengths. And they should be aware of this on the side of Parkland. They're also trying to do the most to play their particular brand of Dota. I do think, though, that they kind of have to be aware of their timings in this game. Because late game, I don't really want to be the team playing against OD, Magnus, and Slock in later game scenarios. So they need to try and make as much happen in the earlier portions as possible.
I'm just watching the actual player behavior as well. You notice that they're doing a good job at targeting the IO on the back line. He does have the bottle up now, though, so obviously gaining some value, some regen for his Bristleback. But he's already burned through quite a bit of it, so he does have to watch that, because Bristleback, unfortunately, very high mana cost to get through the kind of damage he wants to.
Surax did something interesting here. He bought the Quelling Blade at the level 1 right after picking up the bounty runes from the side shop. I would have much preferred if he picked up a magic stick. I feel like whenever you're playing against a Bristleback lane, can't get away without that item. And he still has some tangles left, so it's not the biggest deal in the world, but this could have really gone south if they decided to dive underneath the tower. You definitely need the additional regen, not just relying on tangles for this lane. But it's not so bad. Hasn't actually been punished for it. Just something to think about for the future.
I hear you. That makes a lot of sense. Obviously, Surax will have a much easier time once he gets level 6 and just dart into the tree line to regen. But as mentioned, Bristol really can be difficult to deal with. But I love the fact that they're targeting the IO.
Yeah.
It's a common mistake people make, is that the one near you is the one you hit. That's not the case. Bristleback does not die, and with an IO backing up, it's even worse. But they look like they're trying to run down Surax here. We'll force him back, so a little bit of reprieve here, as they were losing the CS battle, but now catching up to at least par on last hits. Need a couple of extra denies, though. IO only swing on the first one, but also using up most of the mana. It does have the mango.
Yeah, BP will be fine. He has a mango. The bottle will be refilled a couple of minutes from now. Top lane, though, there might be a kill on Magnus.
Well, Magnus is in fact being run down, but the UIF unable to commit to that kill. Also, excuse me, running a little bit low in HP. This is quite a challenging lane for both sides, actually. Although the Void is really hard to bring down with the Time Walk, it's quite easy to fall behind from the harassment, the mana drain, etc. that'll come out from ID Unknown. And they do actually hit quite hard with the mag. He's already got a level in power. I'd like to see him actually use it a little more aggressively. Oh, hold that thought. He is in trouble here. The stun comes up, but potentially on the wrong target. I say this, Childish has to back off, will survive on very low HP.
I'm actually kind of surprised that UIF didn't jump towards the Magnus. If he made that jump forward with the Time Walk and then gotten off one more right click, Childish said, probably dies there. But he chooses the safe play, gets back towards the tier 1 tower. And you were mentioning that, yeah, they do have a lot of harass. The one thing I would like to see, though, is him casting the Empower onto the Lion, so that Lion can be the one to, throw out this ranged harass, much more difficult to punish. But now, as it stands, Charter said, not really feeling comfortable staying far forward in the lane. Just going to back off a little bit, give some space towards the Magnus, who will happily take this on the Void to farm.
And definitely some regen be sent through into the top lane, and they do have a Mag and Boots coming in, but this Mag is... they sent the carry back. So he actually has a Salve as well. Mid lane though, let's take a look at this. Ubik having the better of it so far. He actually sent Zarkun all the way back to base already. He went in aggressively with a blink, get off the level 2 Shadow Strike. I'm really not a fan of that. It does put you in danger. Obviously, he knows where the lanes are, so he's not too concerned, but I'm never a fan of aggressively blinking when you can potentially just find, play for the denies and potentially wait for your opportunity to control the lane, toss out the Shadow Strike, more opportune moment. But he's picked up that Invis. He went up towards the top lane, but looks like he's not too keen. Blinks away, so not even interested in that whatsoever.
They have an Observer Ward here, and they saw him pick up the Invis Rune, so they immediately start backing off towards the Tier 1 tower in the top lane. So a good play there happening from Ligbron to make sure that they don't end up losing their lives. Man, I feel so sorry for this Queen of Pain, though. Like, Ubik on this OD has a massive advantage in the laning phase versus Queen of Pain, and it's sort of showing here. One of the difficult things about Co-op is that she doesn't have any natural wave clear, and her animation is decent, but it's not incredible. And playing against OD, you can just, completely astral you, ensure that you can never really get any range creeps. You're always going to fall behind on experience, and then the lane becomes much more difficult as time goes on.
A really balanced game overall, though. I mean, we have a slight lead going with the Dire, but Parklands certainly not way ahead in the top lane. This might be our first blood, though. UIF manages Time Walk away. Nice. Very, very low. But still, no first blood just yet. And that's actually a testament to how these players are controlling the lanes. Because it is, I'd say in both cases, there's kill potential on either of these lanes. And they're playing quite, I'd say, smart, though. In the fact that they haven't managed to get caught out either way just yet. UF does have to be careful, though. Because if he gets impaled now, he will likely fall. Shockwave, no mana available just yet. But an impaled Shockwave is enough to kill UIF at the moment.
Yeah, he has to be very, very careful about this. They're completely out of region on both sides. And Void doesn't actually have any further way of getting himself back up. They might decide to retreat towards the Shrine after the next wave or two, especially when they note how much less HP they have than the Magnus. So yeah, I think they should go Shrine right now. Somebody needs to make the call. Maybe they're waiting for UIF to finish power trade. That's probably the call. You finish the power trades, have the courier send out the Belt of Strength from the courier or from the base, and then as soon as it connects on the Shrine, get your power trades, get your health, get back to the lane. But until then, you have to play so carefully here.
I guess the catch as well is that he can, if he's good enough, just read the positioning on the line. Every time he steps towards move back, which will give Frostbite an opportunity to just get some cross harassment onto it. And he's actually not in danger of dying. And potentially if they do use their spells onto UIF and he time walks away, they'll actually win the fight quite handily in the end. So Frostbite, potentially the key to winning this matchup. But he is farming nice as well. UIF a little bit behind the Slark and his opposite number in the safe lane, Syrax. Yeah. But he's actually got more denies as well. So it's fairly even at this point. I'd actually kind of give the edge to UIF at the moment since he's getting more out of the lane in the sense that he's denying opportunities to his opponents as well.
And he's getting closer towards getting Midas as well. It's going to allow him to accelerate beyond the Slark. He needs to do that because keeping pace with the Slark that has him power can be a very difficult endeavor in general.
They're all going to engage him here. Nope. Time walks immediately. Doesn't even want the impale damage. Frostbite, though, will be unfortunately unable to do the same, so he'll have to tank that Shockwave. What's Mag doing at the moment? He's not showing what he's keen on getting just yet, so yeah. I imagine there's the likelihood of him going for the Arcane Boots.
That's the one thing, though, that they're doing quite well. They're making sure that this Magnus can't really approach the lane to get any amount of farm here, because he knows if he shows up, he immediately gets gone on. It's allowing UIF to effectively have a free lane, so he's having the time of his life on the Faceless Void. Not as well as the Slark, but things are still going quite fine for them. It really is even across the map. Syrax, very low, but he's level 5 now. At this point, you're actually no longer afraid of Bristleback. You can always have Pounce away. You have 21 charges. He's going to hit level 6 soon, and at that point, this lane is 0% threat. You just keep farming forever, basically.
So I think the biggest concern probably across the map is going the way of Zarkun's Queen of Pain, who is fairly... It's fairly far behind the OD. I wouldn't say to the point where it's game losing or anything, but that is probably the biggest discrepancy across the map right now. So Ubik is the man I think you would want to be if you were Ligbron to have that start.
Yeah.
So I would almost give like an edge here to some degree as far as the likelihood from what we've seen these sides goes. But at the same time, the gold lead is in favor of Parktown.
Yep, it really is. Quite, like, not as much as you think, but still, it's a relatively good gold advantage. I think a lot of this does come down to just how consistent gold they've been getting with the bounty runes as well. The last round they got all 4, I believe, at the 5-minute mark.
Sorry, bottom lane, this is very likely our first blood. Mount Chili trying to run away from both Kiwi and Tropsy. Does put down his shield, tries to buy some time, but they will happily charge this one down. First blood, totally worth it, although he's very low. Does get some support coming from the sidelines from Ubix. They want to find the cross kill here onto the IO and do so, but they need a little bit more. That kind of rotation from a mid for just the support is not worth it. So this definitely going in favor of Parktown, unless they manage to find the kill in Bristleback. Does Slark get into position though? A little bit far back, he needs to find that leash. It's there, and that's the kill they needed. Ubik does manage to finish the job, and now that rotation definitely worthwhile. 2 for 1.
If they didn't get that rotation kill with the OD, it would not have been worth it whatsoever, but they managed to find it, get some really good kills. In the meantime, we did see that Zarkun was spending this time making sure he's putting pressure on the tier 1, getting some farm for himself. With great movement there, coming in from Ligbron. At the same time, at top, they've gone on to ID Unknown. They were trying to get the kill onto that Lion, knowing that there's no possibility of him getting support from the other lanes. Manages to escape, which also is an indirect win for Ligbron, because they didn't really give up anything of value for making those moves.
And additionally, UF now topping the charts. I mean, the denies are insane. 38 already. That is truly significant. Bounty runes this time looking a little bit more even.
Yeah, they've got 2-2.
Oh, no, it's going to be 2-2 apiece. Yeah. So that's better news there. But I got to say, this Void Radius, the denies are a problem.
Yeah, Charles said Bino's got nothing out of this lane. He's probably been the big loser of this laning phase overall on this Magnus. Still level 4 at this point. Not really having any farm for himself. Bottom 4 in net worth. It's going to be a pretty rough time, but, you know, he understands
trying to hunt
his
down
role.
Frostbite. Sorry, Snare. They found him making his way towards mid, and I don't think there's much way out of this. So they do get the Queen of Pain to help out, but he gets immediately impaled. Could have potentially held on to that a little bit longer, but more than enough here to finish the job on Frostbite, but it will come at the cost of their line. I think had he held the impale slightly longer for the Astral to end, they get the double stun and possibly a better outcome, but also possibly the same. So no real loss there. And the rotation, I kind of feel that's in favor of them because they were losing that top lane.
Yeah, they were losing that top lane. I think they're okay with that. Being able to get this kill onto the... Wait, who died first? Lion died first. Oh, then it becomes kind of even. Had Lion been the one to at least get the kill first, it would have probably been better, but it's okay. The mere fact that both of their mids were involved in these kills means that everybody still ends up okay at the end.
Magus
this is going to be a very
close
game.
on top lane as well. He has a very little regen on him at the moment. He wants that little bit of extra gold. I'm almost certain he's going for Arcanes now. So they didn't show it. Yeah, speed over to the side shop or the secret shop. We'll pick that up. And that will give him the ability to farm a bit better. But at the same time...
Magnus understands his role in this game. He's going to start leveling up the Empower soon after he gets level 6. He knows that he's just going to be a help Slark farm machine.
Oh, sorry, bottom. Speaking of Slark, he is very, very low. Chris was unable to finish the job, and he turns his attention to Mount Chili, who did use the Sinister Gaze, but unable to finish the job. Surax actually has to pop the Shadow Dance. I actually realized that the one thing they do have that I didn't realize is that although they don't have control, they do have a lot of damage that will come out from the Bristleback.
Yeah, between Bristleback and Co-op, they do have AoE spell damage that can affect the Slark. One of the complicated things about Slark is that you don't die when you activate the Dark Pack, but until you get more items, you can't actually kill Bristleback yourself. You just keep farming in front of him. Because even inside the Shadow Dance, the Quill Sprays hurt a lot, and you don't want to actually take that damage. I've died so many times when you almost think you got a kill on Bristleback and you get like triple quilled at the same time. It's awful. So Surax is doing the right thing, not trying to press his advantage too much. Just keep the farm going in as peaceful a pace as possible. That was a nice stun from ID Unknown. He manages to stun out the Rasta as well as the Void at top. They were going to go on him and get the kill, but he manages to stop it. Like, I'm actually really surprised at how slowly paced this early game is. We're used to more of these explosive periods of time early on, but right now, everyone's just trading farm. Like, there's a 5k gold lead in the direction of Parklands, but because they haven't managed to claim any structures, it's a tentative lead at best, because it just takes 1 or 2 fights with 1 or 2 structures falling down, maybe a Roche, just any objectives happening on the map, and suddenly the balance of power shifts in the opposite direction almost immediately.
I think the one big thing I would like to see come out from Parklands is the is actually the usage of this Chronosphere. At the moment, it's been sitting down unused for quite some time. This might just be it. They're going to go re-engage onto the line, and they drop the Chrono as well. It's well placed. It separates the mag from any kind of disruption. And, of course, Lion find the kill. Now what I want to see, though, is now you need to use those Serpent Wards. But they get some support coming from Ubik. This could be the death of Frostbite. It is limping away. Can he get to his tower in time? One more requirement hit, and he can drop the Astral. No, he drops the hammer instead, and UIF went onto him. Zarkoon has come to help out. Can they get the kill? They're keeping him locked down, but a beautiful defensive Astral will make him survive through the ult from the Queen of Pain. Zarkoon still needs to finish this kill, though. Gets the Spectral Dagger down. Ubik turns his attention to it, wants to try to take this fight, at least try to get the damage up, but the creeps are helping out, and Zarkoon makes the right play, makes the right call, and although a beautiful play from Ubik to dodge that ultimate, does result in the kills going the way of Parklands.
Yeah, Parklands come over there with 3 kills from that rotation. 2 of them onto the core heroes, the mid as well as the offlaner. The offlaner who's already struggling. To be fair, he did manage to get off the RP just before he died. But nevertheless, losing his life in that situation, not great. The Faceless Void in this moment does have himself already seeing the progression towards having a full Maelstrom. One of the things that I do think needed to happen in that engagement that they could maybe have done better, OD had an opportunity to tread swap towards the strength treads, use that for 1 more second, get off the Astral on Zarkoon, maybe you escape with the TP out. Well, might not pay off in the end, but you gotta try these moves. Still though, they're gonna be happy with that because this gets to extend the gold lead that they were already experiencing. The Faceless Void's loss in net worth in that time period is made up for by Zarkoon, who is indeed going to be going for this Orchid Malevolence early on in the game.
I gotta say, I'm really impressed once more with Parklands. I really felt that this was, well, they thought top lane, there is an engagement coming out here, and no Chronosphere needed, as they do get the time locked down. They want to find more. IDEA know in a lot of trouble, should be finished off here. They leave it to the Void as well. UIF gets 2, and they're making some fantastic decisions. The Midas up as well, so the farm is certainly going the way of Parklands at the moment. They get another kill in the bottom lane as well. In fact, it's the IO that falls, but Chris still wants a pieces. He wants to run down on Chili, and will be able to do so. 1 more stack probably required. Right clicks there since he did have the Vicious Nasal Goo. Now has to back out because Ubik, once again, Captain Fantastic comes back in trying to get something out of this. They should find the kill here onto this.
Yeah, the slug should walk away.
But 1 more hit required, and there it is. And in comes the Queen of Pain. The Zarkoon doing what his opposite number also did. Rotating down here, and they get the shackles out as well from Frostbite. So Ubik in a lot of trouble. Once again, defensively disrupts, but they're going to bring in the support. It's the Magnus here. If he can get into this, he can potentially do some magic here. Does he get the RP off? Yes, he does, beautifully. And in comes a shockwave, and they should get 2. They've got to bring down the Queen of Pain first, though. Out comes the Sonic Wave, and surviving whilst picking up the kill. Zarkoon has in fact shown that although he struggled in the laning stage, understandably so, he's made some very good calls in his movement around here. They really did need to change the priority of where they dealt the damage. They needed to kill him first, would have kept the OD alive.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for them, they instead get the support. Zarkoon picks up the carry, and that works out very well once again in their favor. 7k gold lead, it's not over yet. Quiz still wants a little bit more. Goes into the bot lane, but they will be able to skewer the Magnus into safety.
I really thought they were going to be able to bring down the Queen of Pain. She was so low on life. Had they concentrated all their damage on her, she probably dies there. Then everything turns around, but instead, gets off that 3-man Sonic Wave, everyone's dead, and now they're going to get more. Chalice Savino's dead underneath the tier 1.
Trying to limp away. They do get some help out once more by Mount Chili, basically using the Sinister Gate to swap lives, but he will be run down. No way out of this for him. And
nice.
Swift end comes to him. I think this Bristleback has reached that point as well, where we spoke where it becomes very difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
He's got the full Vanguard up as well as the Blade Mail. So he is very, very tanky, very hard to bring down, and Charles and Dino should not have stuck around. He's going to skew out the other way, but those Eye Spirits will do enough slow to make sure they catch up to him and finish yet another kill in this bot lane. This game is starting to run away now as Parklands pull ahead significantly. Holy Trinity achieved. Top 3 cores in the game going away of Parklands, and now there are some big question marks for Ligbron. Can Surax and Uac lead their team back into this one? Time will tell.
Surax and Ubik are going to have to put in a lot of work to make that happen. Right now, Surax does not have the added bonus of farming with Empower. I think they should probably just give up on Magnus getting any real farm in this game, except that he's going to be more of an Empower machine. There might be a kill at top onto Frostbite. He needs to watch himself against the Slog, but Slog also needs to be a little bit careful. There's no support immediately available. I must say I've been really enjoying Parklands' warding game here. They've been making sure that they have as much vision on the map. They've got a ward right now defending the Faceless Void. TP bottom. Looks like another fight might break out here.
Oh. Double stun comes out. They need to try and make something else. The backlines, they will catch out the Eye. Got to kill him first, without a doubt. They probably lose ID Unknown here, but Astral comes up from Ubik, really heads up play there. Iron comes back and I think he wants to try to disable him, but the Blade Mail immediately popped, dealing enough damage, but Ubik still wants this kill. He's going to try TP away. Can they find him in time? Do they have any save? Yes, they do. So control for the time being. They need everyone here to deal with this. Those cool stacks will stack up quickly and potentially can turn this one around. Ubik trying to keep some distance around this one. They're going to get the leash off onto the Bristleback. QS in a lot of trouble here. Can they finish the job though? They're hitting him from behind though, so the strays will come up. But nice use of the Sinister Gaze from Mount Chili will ensure that they turn the Bristleback around, find the kill, and a very important one. That top lane though, UIF does manage to find another kill, and Magnus is probably the current, not even in fact, they just find a shackle engagement, I assume, and probably claim this tier 1 tower as well if they really want it. Once again, I would like to see these serpent wards go down. They really do add a lot of value at opening up the map for your team. Even though the top lane is probably not the ideal spot to use it, you could have used it twice by now.
Yeah, you want to be using mass opponents as much as humanly possible. It's one of those spells where even if you get only a marginal amount of damage out, Ubik died and they need their own shrine. That's actually one of the things I was going to mention when I was talking about their vision. The fact that they have wards on the enemy shrine. Both sides of the map, in fact. If you want to be a Radiant hero farming your jungle, you are going to get spotted out by the side of Parklands. They're doing this to make sure that everywhere there can be no surprises, firstly, and you have opportunities to get in and gank them. Because you are playing with IO. You do have the opportunity with the mobility to move around the map very rapidly.
That is rushing hot, by the way, Snare.
Yeah, oh, wow, why not? Why not?
A very interesting selection here, but certainly will make life very difficult.
Top lane, Lion's gonna die. Say the ward we were just talking about.
They're gonna try now engage onto the Magnus as well. So Charlie Sadvino will be brought down as well on top of it. Godlight for Zarkoon, the person who was struggling most in the laning phase, in my opinion, has now, at least from the side of Parklands, now almost top of the net worth.
Then there's your mass open wards. They get dropped down. While that's happening though, we'll also see that Tropsy and Quiz managed to bring down the life of the Lich, chasing him after the shrine. I mean, that's still fine. They at least get one kill, bringing back UIF. Ubik picks that up, but still, I don't know if it's actually worth it. You bring down the Faceless Void, but he's already committed Chrono, already had the Midas used up. He's not going to be happy with the loss in farm time, but his team still benefits highly by the fact that they've taken a tier 2 tower, gotten all these kills off of the back of the Void. So, like I was saying earlier, as much as this Void is doing well right now, and we see that side of Parkland is doing incredibly. The Queen of Pain is doing really well. She already has the Orchid more than halfway towards having BKB. It's all aces at the moment, but late game beckons. You mustn't keep this up forever. You have the ability to win this game before the Slark and OD start to get completely out of hand.
They certainly agree with you, so they're moving straight back, and they are going to silence up the Slark, but I don't think they have enough. He's too far down. Will be able to make enough distance between himself and his opponents. Break free from it, but you can see once again the aggression coming out, and I think that there's little reason not to try push your luck here. You have a big enough lead to potentially drop some kills, but potentially pick some up as well. They're going to find the mag as well. In comes the Sonic Wave, as well as they bring down the first kill on that Magnus. Out comes the finger, but it just wasn't enough. Chain Frost doing a little bit of work, bouncing between the Owl and the Bristleback. Does end now as they pull it all the way back, but Bristleback isolated from the team. Once again, that Sinister Gaze doing so much work. I love the fact that Mount Chili is consistently using that ability to make sure that the Bristleback is facing the right way. And although it's a hero that we know he plays as one of his comfort picks, it's worked out so well for him. I think this is the most effective we've seen Mount Chili, because he is turning this Bristleback around. For those who don't know, obviously Bristleback taking reduced damage from behind. In this case, making him face himself allows his team to do full damage to the Bristleback from the front. So even before the Shattered Blade is on the deck, Lich proving to be a very, very competent pickup here against this very powerful Bristleback.
Yeah, and also make sure that as the hero is being Sinister Gaze, Bristleback cannot activate the Blade Mail. So much easier kill to pick up in that regard. And it doesn't get any easier for the Bristleback, right? Not a hero that generally is going to be buying the BKB or anything that gives him additional status resistance. He's just going to be playing normally, so anytime that happens to him, he's most likely going to die.
Well, they try to go in deep onto Ubik, and they come back in with UIF. He's going to drop the ulti. They need to cancel these TPs. They're going to go straight into it, though. They're all caught out here. This is not the right play at all. The Serpent Wards are down. Mount Chili will fall as well, and Childish has to watch his team fall apart. Time off for Style as Surax all alone. Wants to try find some cross kills here. Will potentially pick up one. Has to back off. Hasn't found anything, and they're going to turn their attention to him now. He does have the amulet, though. The amulet, excuse me. So he's going to be safe. They're not sure exactly where they are. I think he just picked up this item as well, so they're probably assuming he's juked and moved out of it. But still, a 4-man fight going the way of Parklands. The opposite of what Ligbron needed at this time.
That was some save your buddy syndrome that happened there. We see that OD underneath the tier 1 tower finds himself getting all kitted up, and they knew for a fact that he was going to die. They try to save his life, but they TP multiple heroes into the chronosphere, and the bubble ends up getting them killed. And suddenly they lose the tower, they lose another one, they lose everybody's lives except for the Slog. And this game just became a lot more difficult than it needed to be. And it looked like it was actually sort of like, they were still sort of falling behind, but it wasn't as bad. It looked like there was still opportunity for them to make some turnarounds happen, but with that, a massive advantage has now swung towards Parklands. They're also going to claim the tier 1 at mid, so all that's left outside of the base is a tier 2 tower in the mid lane, which right now doesn't even seem to be the target, because soon they're going to have to be concerned about losing the Roshan as well to Parklands.
And must be said as well, that thanks to the Vicious Nasal Goo, they can reduce the armor substantially. A lot of disable as well coming out from the Shadow Shaman. So a fairly easy Roshan for them as well.
Yeah.
I got to say though, this is one of those like really hard lessons you have to learn, just to throw back to that team fight. If they hadn't, they were always going to lose that OD. That's, I think, the thing they needed to understand. Like, going in was you were only ever going to arrive after the fact, and coming in just meant that they got bonus kills. Literally could have just been your OD dying, losing that tower. Not great, but far better than losing the tower +3.
Yeah.
And fortunately for them, some fancy footwork by Surax allowed them to survive, or himself to survive. But that could have been even worse.
Yeah, it could have been a full team wipe. Speaking of Surax, I am unhappy, let's just say, with how little time he spent farming with the Empower. They need to make this like an absolute priority. The Slog can actually take over the entirety of this game. Like, provided he's able to get a mass amount of items and armor, you won't even die during the duration of a single Chronosphere. They need to do what they can to enable this hero to play well. And right now, Bounty Runes are on the cards, but that means that the Faceless Void and the Shadow Shaman aren't here. But unfortunately, the side of Ligbron doesn't actually have vision on the side of the maps.
Oh, hold on, Surax does want to go, and they're going to go back onto the IO. Can they finish off the job? Not quite. Going to be able to tether away to safety. And one's going to super mobile side here. Bear that in mind. Although the Bristleback is just limps away when he's under threat, he's really hard to bring down. Shadow Shaman, sure, slow, but Time Walk, Blink, and Tether make it very challenging to bring down the other 3 characters.
So much mobility, so many easy ways for people to escape. Right now, though, they're just going to be escaping into farm, just going to get themselves some more net worth. They've claimed the tier 2 tower, so all the outer towers are claimed. Much more difficult for Ligbron to access the Roshan pit if they want to contest that area. And man, I'm still not seeing this Empower. Come on, bro. Chowder said, no, just disempower him just once.
I'm also really worried about this part coming out here. When that happens, there's just such an enormous amount of regeneration available to your teammates.
Yeah, they're going to get the heart at the same time as this Bristleback picks up the pipe of Insight. They actually just got the pipe. So this is going to make their sustain insanely high. You were speaking yesterday about the concept of effective HP in this game, and the Bristleback's effective HP has actually more than doubled once this heart emerges for the IO.
Very problematic, and it becomes very hard to bring down. They are going to find the line, though. They're going to leave this one to Zarkun in the end.
Yeah.
Takes his time, but does find the kill. And a very useful kill as well. Although Lion, obviously a support hero, he's one of the ones you would be less worried about dying. He's offering a great deal of disable to their side at the moment. He's the one hero, other than the Magnus, that has a hard disable. And of course, the instant disable, very valuable against things like Faceless Void that can just potentially pop out that Chrono up against you.
Yeah.
Surax on the front lines understands the threat that's come in. Quiz, as well as Tropsy, can happily stay up on this high ground right now, tank a lot of damage and just reset. Unfortunately for towers, not quite the case. Not until at least the Lich gets to some severe levels. And Quiz showing himself right on the front lines, presenting the opportunity to engage them, but of course not the right one. Surax immediately able to Dark Pact off the silence coming from Zarkun. Very important that he did.
Yeah,
but keeping things alive at the moment. But keep an eye on the UIF. He's on the sidelines there. He doesn't have the talent just yet for the Time Walk range, but he can get a nice angle potentially up onto the high ground here. Where often you'll find heroes, I mean, you can see it right now, proving my point, a lot of heroes will find themselves in this position whilst trying to defend, playing off the immediate line, but presenting themselves. Line does get silenced up, Zarkun goes in deep, in comes Magnus, he gets a really good RP, but is it going to be enough? The Chrono comes down, they're going to toss into the Chain Frost into it, Ubik taking a lot of damage though, being shut down, he wants to drop the hammer, does do so, but it's not enough damage. Surax leading them away at the moment, gets hexed up, the buybacks come out from the line, but I think that's a little too late. Does look like Parklands will claim their first big objective here in the tier 4, and not a huge amount these two supports can do. They've got to be careful, they might throw their lives away. IDNN trying to back up, throws up the finger, will find the cross kill. Mount Chile though will pay the price for it though, he's brought down. Idea known, silenced up, and will once more be brought to his knees.
Nicely done. So Surex just gets buyback money though, coming out of the base, and Zalkun's very low in HP. They actually can't be here. They have to get back.
Well, Surax does re-engage it, doesn't have the silver edge, so Chris still a target that's far too tanky for him, trying to find a way in. If they can survive this, just losing their tier 3 at this point, that really is a win. But Surax cannot die. He needs to make sure that he keeps some distance. Now with the Empower, able to farm a little bit better and obviously deal a lot more damage. But going for the BKB before that silver edge, I don't know if that's the place now. I don't know how you feel about that.
He's scared at this point because there's just too much disable. He's dealing with hexes, the shackles. In the last fight, we saw he got shackled, I think, for 2.5 whole seconds before his dark pack came back. And situations like that just can't happen when he's your primary damage dealer. I'm kind of surprised in that last engagement that when he bought back, he didn't just use the Shadow Blade to run in on the backlands to try and scout out Zarkun, who was on very low HP. Might find Frostbite now, though.
This is actually important. Let's find the kill. And I want to point out that these kind of kills really do matter because it buys you more time in the game. This is one of those opportunities where you play the game to win, and playing to win doesn't mean sitting your base. You need to go out, find any kind of pick-off. But it looks like they may have a bigger problem to deal with it. Chris, as well as running to the front lines here. Surax stands his ground, needs to get out of there. No dust available? Yes, it is. In fact, popped up. Now, can they find more? The skewer back comes out. Fear also on the back lines.
They need to get back. All of them need to get back. UIF is alive. They might be playing 5v4, but they're playing right next to the Dire Tier 1 tower. And they're the team that just bought back with the Slog, knowing that if this hero dies again, the game might just end at that point. At this point, you've bought yourself a second chance in the game. Don't squander it, trying to take plays that you're not certain absolutely about being able to succeed upon. And you know what? So I do not mind really the BKB on Slog before the Silver Edge. I just understand his predicament. He needs so many items. He needs the BKB, he needs Silver Edge, he probably needs Diffusal Blade as well to be really effective in this game. But I do definitely think that Charles said, Bino, do not finish this BKB, fam. Get a Blink Dagger. They absolutely need the Blink RP. They need a way, not just for the RP to land on multiple heroes, but for the skewer to bring the fight back towards their side of the map. Because every time that they get a good RP off, Slog is forced to jump in on the far side of the fight, putting himself in a position where he can easily get chronoed. Speaking of said chrono, there's Aghanim Scepter available now on UIF, so 60-second Chronosphere in conjunction with a 40-second Sonic Wave coming in from the Queen of Pain.
These are some serious problems at the moment. They are very far behind as well. The net worth is definitely a significant issue, but there is a fantastic toolkit available to them. Surax now tries to find a kill onto the Shadow Shaman again, and he does manage to do so. The TP squad does come in. It's going to be everyone. So finding a nice kill and once again buying themselves a little bit of extra time, but they've got to be careful because they cancel die and UIF could just take this one. Considers the chrono, but wasn't quite sure where Surax was, so hold on to it. Nice trigger control if you would. But this is not over just yet. Surax will be caught out. Can they find the kill? Can they get him? Yes, they can. They catch him out with the chrono, and that's going to be enough to bring down a very squishy, a very important target, excuse me. And now, without the Slark on the deck for 92 seconds, Shadow Shaman back in 25, that's the play right there. Just start making your way towards your opponent's base, get down the Serpent Wards, and one of the biggest damage dealers on the sides is now down. That is what we call a win condition. Yeah, that's definitely a win condition. Something that they will just have ran afoul of now on Ligbron, recognizing that you cannot play with your aggressive, high damage dealer who doesn't have buyback in that kind of situation. The risk-reward ratio is very, very low. They get the Shadow Shaman kill, but you can get that kill and back off. They didn't really need to stick around once they saw the TPs coming in. And now it's going to start to hurt them. Sometimes you just have to poke and prod. Like you said, buy yourself time, and the way you buy yourself time is not by outright winning the game, but just annoying the enemy, make it impossible for them to make good movements. If you force 4 heroes to TP top, you've actually done your job. You should leave that area, go somewhere else. But now they have to deal with another push, knocking on their front door. They don't have Slog for another 40 seconds, but perhaps they'll opt to go for Roshan rather. I think that the decision needs to come out immediately, though, whatever it is. That Slog is starting to reach the point where you can almost come back mid-fight, and sometimes that is game-changing. Looks like the call has been to back off, though, and go for the Roshan. I don't think they realized that the buyback was available. Also, UIF user might have come on. Come on, sis, you walked right past them a little. But the point is that they've opted now instead to go for the Roshan. I'm not a massive fan of that play. I think that there was an opportunity to react. So you had all your ultimates available, you had the Serpent Wards, but regardless, this still puts them in a fantastic position. They're not quite as punishing as I think it could have been. Maybe go for the fight. I think you win that regardless, and then take the racks and back off to Roshan. That's pretty much a game one right there. Right now, I'd say this is certainly well favored in favor of Parklands, but not decided just yet.
they're not completely decided. There still are options for them to be able to come back into this one. It does also depend on how they choose to manage and marshal the next push. I really like the fact that they've had vision in the opposing jungle, but they also need to have wards in the lane that you're going to be pushing in. When you know that the enemy carry hero is playing with the Shadow Blade, you don't want to run the risk of suddenly looking behind you and Frostbite just loses his life. They should actually start targeting Frostbite more while he's outside of the base, just to make sure he can't close the gap and cast the mass open wards. Because now what they want to be able to do is push out 2 lanes, you go to the 1 lane, drop mass open wards, go finish the push in the other lane. Complicate life right now for Ligbron.
This is actually quite nice. You can take a look at the positioning of the creep wave. You have literally all 3 waves coming in right now.
Yeah.
Descending. And of course, this open racks may be the spot that you engage upon now. Shadow Shaman is hiding the tree lines here, but still not quite committing to this just yet. I'm not sure if they're waiting for a particular item. Maybe just... I mean, they have the heart out now on this IO, so they have a huge amount of regeneration. He's a walking fountain at this point. You just got to pick that exact one. You don't want to be overzealous, but you certainly realize that you have a massive advantage here. And if you can find that big chrono, if you can just get your bristleback, tank up a couple of important spells on the front lines, certainly do some work. I wouldn't have minded if they actually given the Aegis to the bristleback and just had him still in the front lines, but now they are making that engagement up onto the high ground. Twist very deep in. Serpent Ward's going back immediately. Oh no, that was not the thing you wanted. Look at that, immediately back on full HP, just not the play. So one important skill not available. Something like the Shadow Shaman there, probably way more useful at this point. Get rid of one of the tables. In comes UIF. He wants to get a piece. This ID unknown, also back on the back lines. Skewer comes in. They're going to control the Magnus. This is a very, very critical for them. No defensive Astral used there, and they're going to find Ubik as well. So they got all the targets they want down. Immediate buyback comes out. Mount Chili, can he find something here? They turn their attention to Zarkun with Ubik. Buybacks are coming out, but the line down for a little bit longer. Can they keep their Drax alive? That would still be first prize here. But Quiz on the backlines, they're trying to lay into him, but there's just no point. With that eye on the backlines, you're not going to be able to finish the job here. They try to do everything they can, but they commit so many large spells to that bristleback, they're not going to kill him. You have to play around him for the time being. They lose their axe in the top lane, and they just need to identify that Quiz is not the target. He's going to get into your face, he's going to be annoying, but you need to find your way onto the back lines. You need to deal with the likes of Frostbite, who's going to be providing the Sables. You need to find a way to pressure Zarkun, where he's not just able to stand and deliver. And of course, UIF with that Aegis. Although, also a really hard target to bring that down, do the Time Walk. A far more important target than trying to beat down a bristleback that's currently tethered to an IO. It's just not going to work.
And sometimes even forcing Faceless Void to either Time Walk forward or use Chronosphere defensively can be a marginal win in and of itself. Bristleback, there's almost no upside to going for this hero. By the time you kill him, you're going to have taken so much damage, you have to get back to base anyway. And in that situation, we see that Bristleback, with the IO, they make the huge distraction play, make sure that they are being the ones chased, tracked, and covered, and the racks can remain open, get taken down by Zarkun as well as the UIF. The first lane of racks down, and in this situation, the gold lead only continues to climb. 33k in favor of Parklands. Ligbron, all they really have access to right now is Slog, who just... Wait, did he actually even finish? Yeah, he did. Slog has BKB, and OD also has a BKB now. But unfortunately, neither of them have buyback. OD had to buyback in the previous fight, and Surax decided to forego buyback in exchange for having BKB. And they're now starting to do the thing that I wish they would have done a lot sooner. And Slog is looking around for wards in their side of the map. Because when you are a Slog and you get seen by the enemy, even by Observer wards, your Shadow Dance passive stops working. So they needed to be doing this a lot longer than they are now.
Immediately also gets counter-warded as well. Frostbite doing a great job here. You mentioned earlier how happy you were with rewarding from the Parklands side, and once more doing a fantastic job with it. And they're going to find even more for their efforts. I think... Idea known, pops a dust, not sure what that was about, especially under the ward. I think probably just a misclick, but important ones. I do think that they still need to push this Aegis. They have it for a little while longer, and I would love to see them make the most possible use of it. Get some spells out. I mean, we spoke about the finger being used and effectively on the bristleback, but potentially what you can do with the Void is bait out a spell like that could cause threat to the likes of your Shadow Shaman.
Yeah.
Come back to life with your Aegis, and then you're in business. But it looks like they're going... What did they go back for? They actually teleported back to base. Holy Locket now completed as well onto the IS, so he's doing a lot of work.
There's 2 heroes in the entire game of Dota, maybe 3, who this Holy Locket item is appropriate to buy. Io is one of them. It's like Io, Husker, and Timbersaw, so he's going to be like, hey guys, one of the few games where it was actually a great idea to get this item after rushing the heart.
Unfortunately, they do lose the Aegis now.
No.
We saw this mistake in one of the previous matches while Mount Chile just tossing out the Chain Frost way too early. And again, it's these kind of usage of spells that you just cannot afford in this situation. 36k behind. They needed that. Childish will be caught out. Doesn't have a Blink Dagger either. I don't like the fact he went for the Echo Save. I think the Blink Dagger would have been far more valuable to him at this point in the game. Unable to really get onto the back lines as the Serpent Wards do their work, bring down the first, and look at that range on the Shackles onto the Lich. They don't even care about it right now. They want to focus the objectives. That's beautiful play. Good control there. And in on the back line, Zaku gets a huge Sonic Wave off. They want a little bit more. They're going to move after the line. ID unknown. Is this the repeat of TI? That's exactly what it's starting to look like. In goes the Bristleback. He's just got to turn his back, and all of a sudden, all this damage is going to be reduced greatly. Still unable to finish the job, might bring him down, but in comes a Chronosphere from UIF. He manages to get onto the fountain as well, so able to spend some time doing damage. Decides it's better to back off, but once again, in comes the Bristleback.
Zarkun outside of the base, actually managing to bring down both Frostbite and Zarkun. Like, Zarkun and Frostbite both got brought down by Surax by himself on the slot. They lose the lane of Rax, but still major coup for them to be able to pick up. You got, wow, 2,000 gold from those 2 kills? Okay. That seems fair. That seems appropriate. I do think, though, that if you're playing on the side of Parklands, you're like, whatever, guys. We lost 2 of our core. We lost, like, the Mass Open Lords. We lost Queen of Pain, but we got a second lane of Rax. They don't necessarily have the lineup that's going to be that good at pushing out super creeps.
Surax almost walked into trouble there. Backs off immediately.
Does he have buyback now? Yeah, he does. This is the time where he has to make the decision. Does he risk finishing the full Silver Edge, or does he save for buyback rather? I don't think getting the butterfly is the correct idea right now, because I think the Silver Edge is not just useful versus the Bristleback, but at this point, doing increased damage versus the IO can be very important as well. With this Holy Locket on the heart, this IO is actually quite hard to bring down.
Also, it does feel a little unfair to rely so heavily on Sinister Gaze when it comes to that Silver Edge there.
Yeah. You need some easier way to break the Bristleback passive.
And once again, to a degree, I feel sorry for this position that you find yourself in, because you also can't initially engage on the Bristle. You have to kill the IO first, so you almost have to hold onto your Silver Edge for a time. It's a fairly complicated affair for them. But I was thinking, you know, as far as like Hail Marys go, I was thinking perhaps one of the options here is to actually grab themselves a Agnum Scepter on this block. Because I was thinking to myself, a lot of the problems coming out from the likes of the Chronosphere and the control that they're giving, we mentioned before, they don't have a great amount to deal with it. If you just all stand on top of the slog, sure, you'll get chronoed, but it's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And I think you're in that position where, like, desperate times call for desperate measures.
I do like, though, as much as I'm not necessarily a full fan of this butterfly pickup for this log, I do like the fact that he's playing. He's not going to play passively with this, right? He'd rather get the full butterfly key. They know where he is. He has to go back to base.
Well, there's also no buyback in any of his teammates. I think he realizes that if he's the last man standing, it just doesn't matter much anyways. But he is playing very aggressively. So the side of that is that he can't be overly aggressive. I mean, if that Shadow Shaman catches him out, who, by the way, has his Refresher Orb out now. He actually catches up Queen of Pain, but this could be problematic. This may not have been the play once. If BKB's up, it will take a lot of damage from that Sonic Wave. Still has the ability to Shadow... Oh! The RP goes wide. He will Shadow Dance. Does do a lot of damage to Queen of Pain. Can he find the still? Needs to find the body block, so from Chris, so good. Buying time. Shadow Blade's up, so manages to get out of harm's way, but they will control the Magnus and should bring him down as some kind of benefit there. But Chris now being smashed on by Ubik, but we've spoken before, this doesn't work. Just look at the peripheral damage that he's received. That was mostly just Bristleback's passive. And in comes in the Chain Frost, but once again, not finding what they need out of it. Chris will find another victim as well. In fact, it's Frostbite's wards that do the work. Deep inside they go. That Chronosphere available again 30 seconds, but they may not even need it. Sonic Wave once more will fly and deals a lot of damage in the backlines. They go in and they finish the job. They drop the Serpent Wards onto the throne, as it looks like this will be the end. And in comes the Bristleback on the front lines.
Oh, this is so messed up. Now you can't
not quite deep enough, but Surax trying to deal with the IO, unable to do so. Just too tanky, too much in the coffers right now for Parklands. 41,000 ahead. They're making their work in the last tier 4 here. As the long range disable comes in. This one they will take though, and they're going to take it happily. Finish off the Slark one more time. But really, this is just for style points, because this game is certainly decided. Chris goes deep in, going to leave it to UIF. Yeah. Aegis will pop, the game will end. No GGs required as the throne slowly but surely will be brought down, as it's mostly the Serpent Wards doing the work. Like Chris keeping away, I think he wants to finish an item before the game ends. But the game will end.
Woo! Alright. GG, well played, Parklands. Didn't get to see them yesterday, but here they come out with a very strong performance. Playing exactly to their strengths. They knew exactly what they were doing the entire time through. I do think there was actually a point in the game towards the end where it looked like there was a sign of life from Ligbron, and it might have been possible for them to turn things around. But after that RP miss, it just seemed like they had planned everything around that. And I just can't help but think, imagine he had BKB in a Blink Dagger instead of Echo Saber in that situation. He can blink on the high ground, get off the RP. There were probably a few more situations. If he had Empower on the slot at that point, the body block that the Bristleback put in front of the slot wouldn't have actually worked out because he would have died anyway because of the cleave. It was closer than it was. Let's say, I think Parklands could have ended it sooner because Ligbron put up a bigger fight than it might have otherwise been. But yeah, there's room for improvement. They're going to have to go back to a drawing board on this one.
I tend to agree with you. I feel like the game it showed the opportunity for a very competitive series, though. I think that a best of 3 going all the way here is not out of the question. It does feel like Parklands is a much cleaner side than Ligbron. I think the decision-making that they make, the positioning of their wards, the usage of the teamwork is much more similar to Grey that we saw early on. I think potentially the two sides, Parklands and Grey, having the best consistency with these games as far as working together goes.
Yeah.
With Ligbron, we've seen the ability to do so. I mean, we've seen how well they can perform as well against opponents here. Individually, they have some strong players. I think HSEL, once again, very, very good. Controlled his lane very nicely against someone who proved to be a very talented player in Zakun.
Yeah.
Losing the lane, as we mentioned, a hard lane for Queen of Pain, but look what he was able to deliver at the end of the game. 17-1 and 15.
Yeah, Zakun actually went ham. Definitely my MVP of this game. Like, went absolutely insane. Did everything that his team needed him to do. Made sure that wherever the Queen of Pain was positioned, there is damage on multiple core heroes coming out at the same time. Blinked around the map quite well, itemized perfectly for this kind of game. There was almost nothing bad to say about that performance. And I will say, Ligbron, like, this game went on for a while, even though, like, Childish said Bino had a really rough game, I think, and they depended a lot on the Magnus being able to perform. They needed him to make sure he always gets the right RPs. They needed him for the skewers. They needed him to be giving him power towards Slog. He didn't himself have the best game on the Magnus, but I think it's actually a testament to how well Ubik and Surax played that the team didn't lose for quite some time, and they still felt threatening in most of the engagements. And even ID Unknown still got a lot of key stuns out in this game. But it was a rough one for everybody else in the game for Ligbron. But still, signs of life. And I guess against Parklands, now they themselves also have a good benchmark of how they can perform in this kind of situation. They didn't try to push the envelope too quickly before they were ready. Just absorbed the game, took it as it came. And they probably had an awareness that they had the ability to win this going forward. And they did. It's a good game to watch, actually.
It really was. I think a lot to take out for this game from Ligbron as well, as you mentioned. I think Mount Chili, for example, was... I think he really did a great job of controlling the Bristleback early on with Gaze. We saw a couple of kills that would have been much more challenging come out from, but unfortunately at this later stage of the games, it's just not possible to really rely on that from your Lich. Yeah. I do want to make criticism about moving forward from Anchali. Needs to find a little bit more farm. Although support heroes, in fact, the same goes for ID Unknown in this particular matchup, but I think a trend a little bit with Anchali is that although as support heroes you are expected to give your priority up, it is a farm priority. It's about making sure that you do find some farm that get some items out, afford those wards a little bit easier. Just literally think of it as, is there a space available? Do I need to be somewhere more important right now? And if not, just find anything. Sometimes it's literally just tossing out that Nova onto a range creep every now and then to find you a little bit of extra gold. I've always kind of felt the rule is, as a support, you want to try and be around about a creep a minute.
Yeah.
And considering you can get 5 off a single creep wave, it's not hard to find those opportunities. And if you take a look, although the IO, who ended up being involved in many kills, so it wasn't as necessary for him to be finding some last hits. He was still, if you look at the GPN, sitting at 310 gold point, and I think that's kind of a sweet spot for a sport. It's around about 300 mark on a good wicket, on a very good wicket, to be frank. But if that's kind of what your aim is, I think that's your goalpost to be around 300 gold point as a sport player. So definitely some signs of life in Ligbron though. I think this third matchup certainly will have some more interesting tales to tell. And I also think it will, regardless of which side ends up going through here to play against Grey, I think we're going to have very, assuming Grey goes, I should say, obviously playing against Glenwood. We did see Glenwood struggling to contest in the yesterday's matchup, but you never know. We don't want to count anybody out before the the fat lady sings.
I mean, they were watching, they must have gone back and watched the broadcast, right, to make sure they have an idea of what to get tomorrow. And if you do that, they may have picked up some tips. Like you're saying, all you need in Dota sometimes, learning one appropriate thing about the game can double how good you are at the game. So, yeah, we never know. They're definitely going to play better, because Ligbron definitely played better today than we saw them play yesterday.
I agree. In fact, when you consider how Ligbron started this tournament, their first game against Grey Cast, it was very one-sided, and they progressively looked a lot better. Even this game against Parklands that they've just lost now, I do feel that some of the players that we've seen, I don't want to say underperform, but not have as much of an impact in the game, have looked a lot better in this one. So I think that certainly you can see just by the day that has passed, these sides are getting better as we speak. But a big task now, of course, 2 games to win back-to-back up against Parklands. It does seem like a tall order. It's certainly not impossible. We've seen it time and time again. But I guess something that they're really going to have to work hard at achieving here. And a lot of that, I think, is riding on Ubik once more. He's got a lot of weight to carry here against this Parklands side. And unfortunately for him, one of the biggest things is that Zakun really did look good. You lost the laning phase, but you have to understand that you're expected to on that hero to a degree. And you almost win the lane when you find yourself in a position where you haven't fallen far enough behind that you don't feel you can have an impact in the game. And Zakun clearly had an impact on the game.
And I think they really understood as a team. They probably spoke a lot about how make sure you're bouncing from lane to lane as much as humanly possible. When it looked like there was any kind of downtime, as soon as Sonic Wave back online, you move. It's fine. Do something on the map, because when you just put yourself in a situation where you have a bad laning matchup, but you don't try to get an advantage elsewhere on the map, because Dota isn't just stuck to the 3 lanes, right? Eventually you have to leave that lane and do other things. And sometimes the moment to do that comes far sooner than expected, just given the dynamics of the laning phase itself. And Zakun seems to have understood that really well. I think he played one of the faster co-ops that you generally tend to see. But I kind of do think that Parklands, their primary strength is going to lie behind this kind of tempo, right? This kind of, you don't need to necessarily dominate the early laning phase, but in the early laning phase, if we do well enough, and then come the mid game, we are just going, whenever our ultimates are off cooldown, we're going to be using them to try and kill you, secure objectives. Because once you saw them take that tier 1 tower bottom, it's almost like they didn't stop. They took one tower after tower after tower after tower. It was very textbook play after that.
Well, we are now into the drafting phase of Game 2 here. Of course, Ligbron 1 game away from being eliminated from the HSEL VS Gaming event, and Parklands 1 game away from going into the grand finals, which I imagine will be truly fantastic. Even if you end up losing the grand final, it'd be great to say that you made it all the way, that you're one of the best high school teams in the country. Yeah. I'm sure some bragging rights will be earned at the very least. I'm sure the assembly will go nicely. I
mean, you can literally go back to school and say, hey guys, do you want to see me win a national tournament? You know, here's the stream link. You know?
There you go. I think that, once again, the opportunity to do something like the fact that this is all recorded, this is all out there, you can really reflect on it, is something that's truly fantastic. It is historic. And I think we mentioned when we were chatting about the grey side that the grey side would be the first 5, they're the true first 5, the original first 5. No predecessors. And for all these players that are playing here, this is much the case. And I think there's something truly special about being the first team to win an event of this nature. And bear in mind, VS Gaming are the premier esports event in South Africa. They have the largest grand finals. They are the event that all sides really want to win their tournaments. So, you know, why not be the team that won the very first high school one?
Besides, now that you're here, you also get some super swaggerlicious pictures to put on your profile picture. So, you know, you get to be with that guy in the booth. Say, oh yeah, that was me. It wasn't just Photoshop. We weren't just hanging out. I was actually winning that tournament.
Impress your friends. Say that you played in a booth. That the best players have played in this. It really is the same as playing at like Newlands Rugby Stadium or, you know, Loftus or whatever your preference is. So, all right, let's get stuck into this one. So Ligbron changing things up a little bit here. They do go back for the Lich once more. So Manchili expected to represent his school one more time on the Blue Death, whilst Warlock this time being picked up by Ligbron. I feel like we did see a Warlock, but I'm not sure exactly who played it there. I'm racking my brain here.
I think it was Grey. Might have played a Warlock game. Did the Warlock win or lose?
Actually, you know who it was? It was Glenwood.
Glenwood. It was Glenwood. Yeah.
Because I remember the context around the Crystal Maiden.
Yes, Warlock Crystal Maiden. Yeah, with the Shadow Word spam. Yeah, it was definitely them. I think it was game 2 versus Ligbron, wasn't it? Or was it versus Grey? Whatever the case may be, we have seen this
It was a second incarnation of the CM, so it was the second game. But Skyrath and Lion once again fully committed to these double sports.
Yeah, I was about to say, it seems to have been the trend for the entire weekend, right? Every team is like, well, guys, this is just what we're going to do. Double supports is how we roll, and getting them for both of their heroes. I think one of the things that they need to probably think about as well is who they're going to initially link up. I think that's one of the harder picks to make. Coming out of the second ban phase into your first pick, whatever hero you're going to pick up here is kind of difficult to suss out in advance.
Ban-wise, are you happy with everything that's gone out?
BB has been taken out, Night Stalker's been taken out. Okay, I'm definitely fine with those on Ligbron because, yeah, the last game, one of the primary reasons why things went south is just because of this particular combination. Whereas now, with Parklands, they took out Slock, knowing how good Surex was on that. They've taken out Tinker, Monkey King, Kunkka, Broodmother. The first three bans were exactly the same, so that's perfectly acceptable. But I'm kind of weirded out by this Lifestealer being picked up right now. I understand the Mars pickup, but I don't know what they want to make happen with Lifestealer in order to be able to completely succeed with the game itself.
10 seconds remaining.
Although I do like that they've given themselves ample opportunity for team fighting with the Mars Lich Warlock combination. Yeah, you do have access to Chaotic Offering, but I think the main thing is going to be Fatal Bonds with the Mars ult and the Chain Frost bouncing around on everybody. It's going to do some massive work, although Lifestealer can just walk outside of that without too much difficulty.
I quite like the lifesteal as well, as you mentioned. It's really good against the Lich, really good against the Mars. Obviously, they do have the BKB penetrating ulti that comes from Warlock, but it's not the kind. It's an interrupting stun. It's not something that really affects lifestealer too much. More so for your spellcasters like Crystal Maidens, etc.
The one positive they have, I guess, is that they have the Frost Shield. So in the earlier portions of the game, Lifestealer has to spend 1 more second running at you than he would otherwise be doing. And often that can put Lifestealer in a I'm going to kill you situation. You get anti-mage. You're playing with Skywrath Mage and Lion, and the AM comes out. So we've often seen Lion being one of the counters to anti-mage because you have the insta-hex and insta-disable to keep this hero down. However, between Lion and Skywrath Mage, these are some high mana pools. So we've more than once seen a Mana Void decimate a team just because of the presence of a Skywrath Mage.
Especially since both of them expend the mana themselves.
Yeah.
So it's not even a necessity for the anti-mage to actually get on top of you. They can literally be... You can be winning a team fight. Your Lion wants to pick up that stack on his Finger of Death, shoots the gun as it were. Anti-mage comes in the back line, immediately just blows up your entire back line.
Yeah.
And it is you've seen it 1,000 times before, sometimes entire team wipes, like complete rampages. And interesting enough, they pick another high intel hero. So anti-mage, I hear you. There's the issue around the fact that there's some good disable, good ways to deal with them, and Lifesteal also a hero he doesn't really like to go man-to-man, toe-to-toe fighting with, but some really explosive options here, literally, for the anti-mage.
This is a game where if anti-mage does well, right, if he's able to, say, get the Battle Fury with the Manta style at around 21, 22 minutes into this game, it's going to be extremely difficult for Parklands to control him and to fight against them. The one good thing that they have with this Puck being picked up as well is an additional silence to maybe deal with this Mars before he has BKB. But if this anti-mage really goes off, then the only real tool they have to deal with him is going to be Lifestealer or Puck buying the Aghanim Scepter. And at that point, that's a bit later on in the game. You're going to need a Bristle Blade from Lifestealer as well to really take on the anti-mage. Because we've seen anti-mages also eviscerate Lifestealers. You show up onto this hero with like Manta style, and he loses all his mana. He can't rage, can't use open wounds, can't use infest to get himself away. It can get challenging. I do still prefer the ease of execution that Parklands has right now because they have multiple silences, multiple stuns, and easy damage coming out of the Lifestealer. But anti-mage is always a ticking time bomb, and you don't have a draft necessarily that deals well with ticking time bombs. You have a winning draft as Parklands. You want to be winning this game. And they also have this thing, Fatal Bonds. Fatal Bonds with the Mana Void is an absurd amount of damage.
That can literally break through your line as well, since although Mana Void is that AoE spell, the chain is certainly longer. So if you catch out 1 or 2 heroes staying next to each other with those explosives, you can be sending your Warlock to heaven in the best possible way. A very, very elated player when you see anti-mage drop that potential bomb on your opponents. All right, so final bans of the game, Weaver and Silence. I've seen a lot of Weaver bans there. Like these sides really do not like Weaver. I'm wondering what the background is. I'm sure there's some kind of story because we've seen it banned out pretty much in every series.
Maybe they know something we don't, or maybe no one just wants to bite us, the sentries.
I think that was our speculation as well. The teams haven't been great at buying this. I mean, some better than others, to be fair, but not something that anyone really wants to go. And they go for the Spectre. That's really interesting. Spectre definitely gets outpaced by Anti-Mage, but he does reach a point where he is quite frustrating with his dispersion for Anti-Mage. He likes to deal damage, a bit of a glass cannon to a degree early on. So
yeah,
that's an interesting one. Also, a very interesting mechanic between Lifestealer and Spectre, which turns Lifestealer into a bit of a global presence.
Yeah, Lifestealer and Spectre. You can just like get Lifestealer into the Spectre, or the Puck show up effectively anywhere on the map. If Puck and Lifestealer are fighting somewhere else, Spectre can just show up as well. They have a lot of now cross-map mobility, can easily get anywhere for any kind of engagement. This is like mega greedy though, because right now they don't actually have any setup besides the Puck itself. They kind of require Lifestealer and Spectre to do fairly well. I suppose in this game, Lifestealer will just go for the Armlet build, and Spectre can be the one that builds the Radiance, or vice versa, and Spectre will go Manta Diffusal. Maybe the logic is that Anti-Mage can deal with one of us, but maybe not both of us if the game goes long enough.
Well, actually, that's my hope, is that the Ligbron will respond to this with something that is the opposite, like something that are a very fast tempo hero, something that causes a lot of issues for the likes of Spectre and Life. So see what they go. It's the Invoker. So a lot of control. We saw this before, where I believe they swapped around Surax and Ubik. In their roles, where Surak actually plays the Invoker for Ligbron.
That was when Ubik played the Gyrocopter.
There we go. So I kind of like this as well, because it does put yourself in a position where maybe you're getting a little bit more out of Surax than you were on a static core, and Ubik has the opportunity to really win the game. I don't feel like Invoker's the hero I would have loved to have seen. I think I would have preferred to have seen them mix things up a little bit, maybe send the Mars middle and pick up a really fast tempo hero. But and I know that Surax plays the Quas-Wex Invoker, so he's more about control and team fight capacity, which is something that is very useful here, but he's not good against Lifestealer. Lifestealer is one of the built-in heroes that can deal with Invoker quite easily, since BKB is your answer to an Invoker. I would have preferred to see something that really sets a very fast tempo, even something, and potentially, I'm trying to think like, literally like aggressive stunners, you know, the area. I'm thinking of something even like a Sand King, that literally just sets up these opportunities, makes it hard to push, changes necessarily the tempo to not necessarily speeding up your own play, but slowing down your opponents just as good.
Here's the play, right? Here's the strategy. So the plan is going to be get EMP on the Invoker, and then once you have EMP on the Invoker, Mars is going to cast the ultimate. You know, you make sure you get that Arena of Blood going, and once the arena is there, you cast EMP on several heroes, everybody loses their mana, and then you mana void them all. Easy kills. Easiest thing in the world to have happen. I mean, I doubt that that's actually the strategy that they have going for them in this particular game, but it would be really funny if they end up seeing that, like a massive EMP that causes Anti-Mage to deal shot that much more damage. But I get what you mean. Like the Invoker, you sort of have to have an impeccable game this go around. The one thing that is available to you, as much as you aren't that great versus the Lifestealer, you can be really good against both Spectre and Puck. Spectre in particular, you just make sure that she gets kited to hell and back in this game. And there's so many dot damages, right? When we saw in the Invoker game, he was going around the map killing everybody with the Cold Snap Spirit Vessel combination. In this game, you don't even need that. You show up in the lane where the Warlock is, get the Cold Snap out with the Shadow Word, guaranteed kills in almost every situation there.
I really do feel that you make a fine point. We didn't see Surax playing against as tough an opposition, I would say.
Yeah, that's true.
But he really did look very competent on his Invoker. I felt early on, perhaps his earlier stages, missing just a tick. But certainly as the game progressed, he looked more and more comfortable in the hero. Could also just be adapting to environments. It'll be interesting to see what he does. But also, bear in mind, up against Zarkun, he's shown that he is a very competent player, and Puck is one of those heroes that can bring down Invokers.
Yeah.
The amount of magical burst that he has, and the fact that reliable abilities like that Invoker has, like Tornado, that suddenly get interrupted immediately by phase shift, makes it a fairly tough matchup. And if you fall behind an Invoker, your biggest friend is your experience. Yeah. Something like a Puck, pretty great attack animation, fairly high base damage. You can see the difference here. And considering this is a likely one's going to be a Quas-Wex Invoker, means that there is an advantage on the Puck's middle laning presence here.
Honestly, this lane is hard enough, and it's loosey enough that I've seen Invokers just put the one value point into Exort just so you have a little bit extra damage to deal with this Puck somehow. Otherwise, it can really go south. It's not easy at all to deal with Puck in this situation as the Invoker. Especially like you mentioned, like Puck has every advantage over you. Puck is faster than you, Puck does more damage than you, Puck has better spells than you in the early portion of the game, Puck has higher HP than you.
Higher armor.
higher armor. Yeah, there's just all advantage for the Park, honestly. So we're going to be seeing Surax have to really put in work to make sure that this lane goes well. If it does go, all he needs to do is just not be dying, honestly. If you're one full level behind the Park but you're not dying, I think you're okay in this laning matchup.
Well, let's see how this works out. Will be an interesting lane to keep an eye on, and I think a very important lane. Should Surax get ahead, it could be one of the keys here to getting us through to Game 3. However, I think also bear in mind, often Puck, a very specialized hero, very frequently the players that play this play a lot of it. So Zakun may also be very comfortable. Bottom lane, Charles Salvino takes quite a bit of damage. As Ubik unable to do a huge amount of support, but it must be said he's gone for the first level of mana break. That is incredibly frustrating for meta heroes to deal with. Just every time you have to do that little bit of a trade, it doesn't just take more mana, but it also obviously reduces the effectiveness you have in the lane stage by virtue of additional damage. So it can be quite frustrating to deal with. But Lifestealer has his own way to deal with that as well. He's got Feast, and of course that means that he can give it back. Doesn't remove the mana, but deals even more damage. So both these heroes, kind of a weird way, they kind of seem like polar opposites.
Yeah, this is really rough for Lifestealer though, because what's going to end up happening, right now he feels okay, but as anti-mage starts to accrue movement speed and damage in particular, then what ends up happening, you lose all your mana and you can't actually cast the rage in order to survive if you really get gone on. So Quiz right now should do as much as he can to get all the XP and all the like loss hits you can while it's possible, my friend. Because soon this anti-mage just going to be bearing down on you. He's almost got the Ring of Health. And once you have Ring of Health, just run at the Lifestealer, hit him a couple times, because he needs to be hitting creeps or hitting you in order to be able to regen. And if you have the Ring of Health, you just have it passively, make your life a bit more difficult for the Lifestealer. At that point, Childish Albino might even start making smaller rotations away from this lane, just to start stacking camps for the anti-mage to be able to farm up later. Because then there's basically no kill threat on this hero.
I think also on the other side, like the Tropsy Skywrath Mage can do a lot of good work for his Lifestealer. Obviously also a very effective jungler at later stages. Could also make sure that he's got the opportunity to make his way into the jungle, find some nice stacks. Especially these two stacks in particular here, often very good yield.
Oh, mid lane. Oh, yeah, never mind. Sorry. I thought you were excited to kill Zakun.
That would have been a very important heal. As we mentioned, so important that he manages to find his way through it. Ooh, that really is quite a problem. Not too sure exactly where that died.
Mid lane, definitely going to be a kill here.
Oh, you say this, but both players so low. Surax managed to survive, immediately stacks up on some regen. Zakun was waiting for the bottle, so this actually may play into his hands.
Yeah, this is actually really good for the Invoker, because you have the advantage in terms of regen because of the cross orbs.
No, he doesn't. There's no courier.
There's no. Oh wait, no, it was Radiant Courier that died.
Yeah, there's no courier. So I was going to say, we could play in his hand. He immediately went for the healing salve, etc. But the reality is he can't get to it. Often what players do, they'll hold out for that bottle, and by virtue of doing so, they end up falling behind, and you actually lose more money than just buying the item out. But Zakun immediately was able to set himself a salve. And although Surax has managed to regen back up into it thanks to Quas, that opportunity is somewhat lost to apply pressure during that first phase.
Yeah, he had to actually wait back. Oh, well. Lich dies bottom.
This is a good trade-off though, and all of Tropsy's mana gone as well. In support for a core, you'll take that trade any day. And in fact, it's first blood as well, I believe. No, the first blood went the other way, so a sign of life, but you'd still be very happy with that. Yeah,
especially because Tropsy had to expend all of his mana to make this happen, and he's having a second null tally brought into the wave, but not actually getting any clarity pots. So this does mean that all the harass potential is effectively removed from this lane. Ubik can therefore free farm, even though Quiz has come back into the situation with basically no threat. The only issue for them is that he can't pick up his Ring of Health because it was on the courier when it died. It was probably being delivered when Tropsy took it out. So they're trying to take as much advantage of this particular period of the game as much as possible. But it's going to expire soon as the courier returns. There it is, Ring of Health's on the ground.
I gotta say, by the way, Snare, that I'm very impressed with how Surax has performed in this middle lane. He's actually winning on the experience battle, and one of the big power spikes for Puck, of course, is when he gets to that level 6, able to control the Invoker, limit where he can move and potentially take the kill. There is Ghost Walk available to Surax, so he'll possibly get started, but of course it's that decision to pretty much go into it before the silence comes out from Puck, otherwise you almost certainly die.
Yeah, I've been watching this lane. Surax has actually been straight up, heads up, outplaying Zakun here. Done a lot of really cool things with the Tornado as well to make sure that he gets the range creep denied and range creep kills. And he's been doing attack like animation counters like that, forcing Park to always force away from the range creep, getting the CS, doing really, really well here on this Invoker. And we were saying that as Invoker in this situation, you're just happy to come away even, and he's definitely winning in this matchup.
Significantly. And before he was down on CS, but up on denies, now he's up on both. So I really have to hand it to how Syrax is making this Invoker shine in this matchup. Certainly not just here he's comfortable playing against weaker opponents.
Dude, he just denied 2 range creeps in front of the Puck's face. Are you kidding me? What a player. He's out here right now.
There is a 6 though up on this Zarkoon Puck, and he will also pick up an Invisrun. So this is a very dangerous combination right here. A little bit of a power spike. What does he opt to do though? Does go immediately towards the top lane. So they're going to look to try and find a kill in here, make the Spectre's life a little bit easier. He's actually doing fantastic. We haven't spoken much about UI yet, but as far as Core's farming have gone, he's done a fantastic job against quite a challenging lane. Now it's going to get even easier. Zarkoon comes in, and there's that Dream Call available. They're sitting on top of each other. They bait out with the Spectre. He does take a lot of damage. They should be able to finish off the Warlock in the back lines, limping away. If he drops that heal on himself,
oh my God.
If he drops the heal, he actually survives this, but actually does not use it at all in the end. So even ID Unknown now in trouble. In comes the anti-mage, wants to try and bail out his friend. Zarkoon will be able to illusory orb away as long as he does it in time. Does manage to do so onto the back lines here. Frostbite stands his ground, tosses out the Impale to try and deal some damage to Ubik, but he does now have that Frost Heal available. Should be able to run down Frostbite, but not quite enough damage available here to Ligbron. They won't be able to find a very important kill that they needed there.
This is a
One good news
mistake.
though is that Invoker did spend a lot of time in the top lane getting some damage out onto the mid tower. Excuse me, in the mid lane doing damage to the mid tower, but the rotations don't work out, and that's what really hurts here.
I feel like that was a massive mistake to come out there from the boys, especially Ubik. I have no idea why he moved away from the bottom lane. You can't actually help out in that situation as anti-mage unless you have Mana Void. And absence having that spell, you really don't. You have no way to slow them down. You don't have an Orb of Venom. You don't have an SNY. Your primary priority is just finishing this Battle Fury and out-farming the Spectre and the Lifestealer. You left the Lifestealer down at bottom. Fortunately, it is Anti-Mage who moves quite speedily across the map, so it wasn't that huge of a loss. It could have been worse, but overall, this is a good 400 gold that you basically gave up by moving top instead of sticking around bottom. Awesome. On the bright side, though, they didn't end up taking any damage on the tier 1, so that's nice.
Syrax is moving somewhere, interesting. He got
bottom.
Dream Called. Tried to move bottom to help out his bot lane, but Ubik, no mana to blink away, has to back off, and Childish got caught between the creep wave. Should be brought down here and is. So yet again, just things not working out for Ligbron, and you have to hand it to their opponents. They're taking the opportunity as well, and Parklands making no mistake of the options available to him so far. Even though Zarkoon once again having a harder time towards the mid lane, these things have started to work out by virtue of these side lanes.
Yeah, slowly but surely it's going to start ticking in their favor. They're going to try and make this rotation bottom to kill Queez, but he actually doesn't have rage CP. He's actually dead. Yeah, Lifestealer's dead.
He just run out of this one is the question. Obviously no mana available, and in comes the Tornado from Syrax. Makes no mistake, and just got to get any kind of funnel up. It's going to be from the cold snap, and should be enough. Just make sure they don't get away, and they might leave this to Ubik. I'm not sure they left it to him, but he did get it, and I think that's totally acceptable. Syrax making some movements, really has got the Urn of Shadows up as well, so now more of a threat around the map, and I would love to see him being as active as he was before. He's already got the edge over Zarkoon, which means Zarkoon kind of has to play catch-up, which means he's going to sit. He's going to be happy to sit in this lane, and as the Invoker, you now have the opportunity to just disrupt the flow of the matchup, see what more you can add to the fray. Obviously, Lifestealer is something he can't do a huge amount against, but he can most certainly hurt the Tropsy Skywrath Mage, and they're going to make short work from again, dropping the ultimate even from the anti-mage. I think they'll be very happy with this session of play. Syrax moves back towards mid. Very happy with what he's achieved so far.
Yeah, that was a great rotation from the Invoker. First time he moves away, down towards the bottom side of the map, finds himself 2 kills. The most important thing about those kills, not just getting them, but making sure that your earn charges don't go down for nothing. You need to stay at this exact level so you can always find some kind of engagements. He's going in for the same build we saw him do yesterday with the Spirit Vessel coming out next. In the meantime, Zarkoon did manage to catch up on a lot of experience.
Zarkoon actually could be in a little bit of trouble here for the opposite. Nice work there getting away from the tornado, but will lose a lot of mana. So still hurts quite a bit. Does have the bottle charge, and there is a haste rune waiting for him if he wants it. Should get scouted out, and they're in fact going to find Frostbite. Is he though? Because he's going to potentially find this haste rune. No, it's picked up by Zarkoon. They do have the Impale. This could set up beautifully. Gets 2 with it as well. But in comes Syrax from the sideline. Wants to finish off more important opponent, which is Zakun, but of course with that haste reactivated, he will be very safe. Once again, Ubik getting involved, so has been very involved in these fights, but I can't help but feel he needs to desperately find some more farm. Focus on that, rise in the net worth, because right now that is the luxury of UIF, who is getting dangerously close to that relic. That is something you want to shut down, because once he has that, it feels like any second he can just find that one kill that tops him over the head. Radiance changes everything in this game.
Yeah, especially because Anti-Mage is going to be playing. So Anti-Mage as your primary core does mean that any kind of evasion has an outsized effect.
Oh, Frostbite has to walk back out, loses all of his mana. They can potentially turn on this mid.
I think they just want to get the deny the tower, Zakun, no! What happened, bro? It feels bad. But it's fine. I think they're okay with this. The fact that they claim this tier 1 is going to be a net win for them in the grand scheme of things. So they probably feel okay with what's going on. And Ubik being involved in that previous kill does mean time that wasn't necessarily spent farming, but also getting closer towards getting the Battle Fury. And there is a moment of, like, there's a while in the game whilst Anti-Mage is getting closer towards Manta, and before the Spectre has Manta and Diffusal, that Anti-Mage is much stronger than the Spectre.
Sorry, top lane ID Unknown in trouble here as Frostbite tracks him down. Doesn't have the mana for the Impel just yet, but they've done a lot of damage. In comes the Tornado, it does connect with both. EMP drop down, but it's hard to find these kills. You're going to drain all the mana from the Spectre. Abandons the lane.
But she's bottom. She might die with Mana Void. Oof.
Oh, so close. Ubik desperately wants to finish the job, but won't have Blink available. No Sunstrike either, so Spectre will live to fight another day. The line also managed to survive. Ubik very, very low. In comes Zakun, wants to finish the job. Should be able to do so, and does. No way that Childish Sadvino can help out.
Yeah, Childish Sadvino, I think, kind of ruined that one for his team. Casting the Cynic's gaze on the Skywrath Mage, you could see that they thought maybe we have an opportunity to go back, get some more kills out of this, but unfortunately, doing that moment of hesitation ends up dooming the Anti-Mage. And they almost got that kill onto the Spectre. They forced UIF to haunt away. It would have actually been a massive win if they forced the haunt out for nothing just to be able to survive an engagement. Would have been fantastic, but ends up getting a kill at the end of the day. And sadly for the Anti-Mage, UIF's mana pool is so pitiably low that Mana Void doesn't actually do that much damage against them.
You almost want to use it as like a stun, you know, like just to disrupt the movement, but as mentioned.
If he'd cast it on the Skywrath Mage who was right next to the Spectre, probably would have been enough damage to kill her. They're going to try to kill Spectre now, though. They're making a huge rotation towards top.
And if they can do this before, they really need this. They need this so badly. They push him back with a spear. They've got to find this kill. Just not enough damage. Warlock doesn't have the ulti. No upheaval used either. And that means he's sitting on 4k gold. The courier's now collected his relic. If they could have found the kill just a moment before, it would have been so significant. They even brought in the life steal, understanding how important it was to keep him alive. Bringing anything to make sure that he doesn't die.
Surex might die now, though, in the middle of the river, thanks to the Stream Quell.
Yeah, he's standing his ground. They're doing a lot of damage to Frostbite. Will certainly get the cross kill. Can he find more, though? He actually gets help from Sadvino.
Wow.
Does he have the Sync is it available? Use it on the Puck Illusion, unfortunately. Surex realizes he's very low, needs out. But Quiz now charging in after him. Shouldn't be a problem for him to get away. Frostnova will make sure that he's safe. And once again, Ubik very close to his own core item now. Battle 3 just a moment away. He's going to have to do so much work. The UIF will make a very good timing on this Radiance. He's highest net worth in the game. Just a very unfortunate position for Ligbron, and of course for Parklands. That's more commanding than you'd imagine. 3k translates to a lot more when it's a Spectre on the field.
Yeah, Spectre is one of these heroes that makes a huge difference to the game. We'll see now, though. If this Anti-Mage hadn't been moving around as much, he might have had the Battle Fury about a minute ago. So 13 instead of 14 minutes. It's not going to be so bad, though. Still going to emerge in a decent enough time that they can try and make something of it. Tropsy might be in some kind of trouble, but there's just no disable.
Trying to find a way through, but in comes the Puck. They do get the ultimate out from the Mars, but unfortunately that's not where you want to be. He gets caught up by the ulti from Tropsy as well. Although everyone's stuck in the pit for the moment, it certainly doesn't gain any advantage. And oh no, the Lich, not too sure what he was doing there. Mount Chili, not in a great position, manages to get himself caught out.
But fortunately for them, Ubik did do the right thing. He recognizes that they're coming and decides, you know what, let me just leave. Sorry, Slock, you're going to die. Or to the Lich, lets the Lich die, lets the Mars use the ultimate, but doesn't actually try to commit for a fight himself.
Top lane, Sirax, can he find something here onto UIF? Would still be a very timely kill because he hasn't picked up the Radiance just yet. Drops down the EMP, and he's got the Cold Snap on him. He needs to desperately finish the job, but UIF goes into the tree line. Very, very close to being brought down. 1 or 2 more shots required. He uses a Ghost Walk, make sure he can get on top of Sirax, showing a little bit of class here today. and a bit of a education for those of you who may want to play some Invoker sometime. Lovely work there, and what an important kill. Slowing down that Radiance just a little, but that's a little extra time on the map. They don't have to worry about it.
Massive kill. Not only does he slow down the Radiance, manages to finish the Spirit Vessel in the meantime, so that next time he tries that makes it easier. Also prevented the Spectre from being able to use the Horn to escape because of a very well-placed EMP. So nicely done by Surex. Might actually find another kill. Sees Frostbite.
He knows that this is a little bit of a harder kill since he's next to a tower, can get support into it, and the Finger of Death will certainly hurt this time. He'll be totally forgiven just opening with it and then moving into the Hex.
Actually going bottom. Gonna try and maybe get a kill onto Quiz.
Top lane now is going to mistake. It's the ID Unknown who's in a lot of trouble here. Doesn't have any support coming in. Brought down by the Finger of Death, so they get that towards the bottom lane, though they're trying to finish off the Scarlet Mage and will manage to do so. So another kill goes the way of both carries, although there's almost multiple carries, if you will, from the greedier lineup of Parklands. But they find another kill in the Lich. I think he was on a dewarding mission.
Yeah, Lich was warding on the side of the map, and then UIF, after using the Horn, poured it down to the side of the map. And that's also the Radiance now complete for the Spectre. She had basically completely uninterrupted free farm. Not something that we often see the Spectre being allowed to get, making very good use of it. And UIF can now make progress towards the phase boots. And then afterwards it's Manta Diffusal, and then the game is very, very hard to play. We're going to have to see this Anti-Mage really start to hyper-farm right now to make sure they're able to stay ahead of and keep pace with the Spectre.
I mean, you say stay ahead, this is one of the biggest problems. He's not ahead, he's a full thousand, no, okay, not thousands. Significant amount behind at the moment. I really what I do want to see is that shining moment from Syrax. You've seen how he's able to hunt down these kills by himself. Very orientated around finding those kills. And he's now starting to level into X4, so he's getting some more tools in his kit. Can start considering things like the meatball.
I will say though that this Invoker is one of these heroes that can make life really complicated for the Spectre. She doesn't really have free reign in the fights whenever there's an Invoker concerned. Top lane, Mars is dead again. Feels pretty bad.
And once again, Frostbite involved in that kill. So Zarkoon happy to use this as an injection of gold as well. I think probably needs to be... Oh, mid lane? No, nothing too serious happening just yet. I do think that mid lane went very well for the side of Ligbron, but unfortunately these side lanes have not yielded the net they needed, in the sense that although they've also won bottom, the Spectre has just gotten so much out of these lanes. They need to find a lot more.
Maybe they need to consider like putting more pressure onto the lane with UIF in it. If this does go to a game 3, that's probably a consideration they're going to have to make. But like, guys, what do we do to actually make sure that we can stop this hero from, whatever hero he's playing, from getting the maximum amount from this game?
In the bottom lane, Zarkoon wants to finish off the Lich. He's running towards his friends, but a TP out was the call from the Invoker. Ubik goes in though. This could be very messy and end up quite badly. Mount Chili will be brought down as well. And the Anti-Mage under fire now. Needs to make sure he's not silenced up by that puck. Dreamcall comes in. Does he have the... Oh, he's got the ulti very, very soon. Does he survive this 2 seconds? The Dreamcall goes down. He needs to blink away. But even then, it'll be to his detriment because he gets stunned out regardless.
Yeah, as soon as Surex... Oh, Surex is almost gotten a kill onto the UIF at top. UIF is dead.
Yeah, so went for the kill top. It does find it. ID Unknown will certainly appreciate being involved in that one. Still not level 10. But I can't help but feel that the better play from Syrax probably stay bottom and contribute to that team fight.
I think they were going to lose that fight no matter what. It was probably the right call from him to leave. I don't know why Ubik decided to go in though. That was one of those situations where I think probably Lich was very, very low, walking towards his friends with the Warlock as well. As like, guys, there's multiple of us here. If you show up Anti-Mage, there'll be 4 heroes. And he makes the play. It doesn't really go well for them.
The problem as well is that you have to bear in mind that there's always that additional hero coming in for the Parklands side. Obviously, Spectre, whenever that ult is up, he can move around. But some really good work by Syrax to make sure he doesn't get too far ahead. But he wants to go back in the line, and there is a puck there, so he has to be very careful. He gets caught out, fortunately from the illusion orb, goes the wrong way. But they're going to commit the ulti. Into the Ghost Walk he goes, very quick at the moment. No reveal, so we're able to walk this one off. They know exactly where he is, though. He's got to be careful, because Zarkoon will have that Blink Dagger available very soon. Potentially could think about it. Backs off onto the Warlock, though. He'll accept that kill instead. So they still get something for the efforts, but it is a hefty rotation for it.
I would have liked to see Mount Chili TP out from underneath the trees back towards the tier 1 tower because he still has the ultimate. Oh, fight's over here.
Yeah, they go back in, and unfortunately this time he's right underneath that sentry, and they have the Radiance burn as well, so they find an important kill, and they turn their attention now to the Lich. And although he gets out the Frost Shield, Frostbite says, come here, drops down the Finger of Death, and finds himself yet another stack. So he's seeing 2 Finger of Death stacks at the moment. This is going to be a fantastic opportunity to secure some bounty runes as well.
Yeah.
Nice passage for Parklands. Once again starting to pull ahead here in the mid stages of this matchup.
They were a lot more disciplined on Ligbron in game number 1 about getting these bounty runes. Perhaps like the more chaotic nature of this game is somewhat getting to them. But they can still do this. They need to calm down right now. And I think they're sort of forcing the issue in many ways. Very often you see teams that, like, when you have a good start during the laning phase or have a decent time, you start to feel that you need to sort of push the envelope, make massive plays happen across the map. But sometimes it's just acceptable as you peak. You can just be farming right now. You don't need to be fighting against a lion. Just take Ancients, take these creeps in the jungle. Let Surax and the boys be the ones to run around making this havoc happen. And even if you don't find any plays as Surax, just being able to interrupt the enemy team can often be good enough to create space for Anti-Mage until he's ready to fight.
Surax has also done fairly well in network department. He's fallen behind the puck now, unfortunately. But he was using what he had to disrupt the flow. Unfortunately, not getting quite enough out of the deal just yet.
Yeah.
But still a threat on the map, and he's got to make these moments count.
I'm kind of surprised that he's making the option to go for the Aghanim Scepter. I really do feel Yules would have been the correct play this game, just because there's so many silences to deal with, from the Scarlet Mage and the puck. Way easier if you have yourself a Yule Scepter to at least get yourself out of it so you can still cast spells and be a presence actively in the game. We haven't really spoken about this Lifestealer hero. He's just been here, getting himself the armlet, moving towards getting AC as well. His job is going to be soak up damage and provide a necessary target for the enemy to go on, whilst the Spectre deals with the backlines, maybe slow down a couple of heroes.
They re-engage here onto Surax, and it's a beautiful engagement at that. Zarkon makes sure that his opposite number is brought down very swiftly. Nice coordination. That's one thing we really have to appreciate with these two sides, and in particular, I'd say even Grey as well, how they really do coordinate the efforts very well.
That was, yeah, I kind of feel like they didn't need to lose the life of the Invoker there. They were a bit too far forward. There was no way they were going to make the push happen onto the tier 1. Now it seems their own tier 1 is threatened. And Ubik, this is the right thing to do. Just be split pushing, play some Rat Dota. You're playing against as Anti-Mage. There is almost no reason to play this game fair.
A very interesting analogy you make there, but I do agree. It's very important that he slows down the pace of the game, finds those opportunities to cut waves, etc.
Yeah.
Look how deep UIF is. Really playing a very aggressive Spectre at the moment. We saw on his previous matchup as well, he's quite happy to fight, but he could find himself in too much hot water here. Surax comes in. He did open with the EMP combination, so there's 0 mana available, but unfortunately for Surax, also no real follow-up available to him. And the back lines, in comes the puck, and Zarkun opts to get back out as Ubik was there, and he finds the engagement that he wants, but he hasn't been able to finish the job. Zarkun will be able to fly out of this one, and Ubik, though he does unaffected by the Dream Coil, unable to do any damage to Zarkun's.
Yeah, that was just a miscommunication. Surax actually had it. He didn't want to use the Spirit Vessel as of yet to slow down the Spectre, because he was waiting for his team to start TPing in, and then by the time he realizes the team's too far away, he wants to let the kill go, but the team decides to start TPing in. Could really have gone disastrously for them, but it could also have gone really well had they TP'd in a little bit sooner. So
I think if you had that Anti-Mage on top of him, I mean, you saw the effect it had. Oh, Chris is very happy to fight against Idea Known, and he doesn't connect with the spear either, but he does commit to the arena. And Surax just waiting, buying some time, but in comes the puck as well. He gets the EMP down, but he realizes he's in trouble. Tosses out the Tornado, still being tracked down here. Does it the Ghost Walk? But can he find his way out? They know he's kind of around here. Frostbite engages with the dust as well. Surax still very fast. And now comes the finger. That'll finish the job one more time. All the answers available right now to Parklands, and some real questions that they're posing to their opponents here.
Yeah, they're just playing in tandem way better at the moment. Ligbron, unfortunately, falling prey to this. One of the natures of these heroes is that anybody at any given time is never really alone. High mobility on the puck, amazing mobility on the Spectre. So taking those engagements and also committing the Arena of Blood onto the Lifestealer. Lifestealer is not really affected by it whatsoever. He takes an EMP afterwards, but okay, you're happy with that. Doesn't even lose that much HP at the end of the day. And now they can turn their attention back towards pushing onto the tier 2 tower.
Fortification was also used as well. So if this goes awry in any kind of way, that does give them an opportunity to put some serious pressure onto the actual base.
Yeah. Yet again, we're seeing the Ward Wars being won at the moment by the side of Parklands.
3-5 minutes in, they're also set up beautifully to get some more. Oh, in fact, they're getting more than just the runes. They're going to find ID Unknown again, and they make short work of him. Do finally finish the job with the last right click. Try to bail him out with the Frost Shield, but unfortunately, fuck, does hit pretty hard.
Kind of like, it's weird that he didn't use his magic wand. He maybe survives there.
In fact, 7-1 charge, I think he certainly surprised there. It was literally the last right click from Zakun that finished the job.
Yeah.
Frost Shield was on him as well, so he got the additional armor.
Unfortunately, it doesn't come out. Ends up losing his life as a result. And now with one less hero on the map, they just keep bouncing from kill to kill. Zakun finds Childish Sad Bino by himself. Easiest kill in the world. And honestly, for me, now is where the game gets really, really scary. Manta style complete for the Spectre.
But also completed for the anti-mage, so Ubik can be far more aggressive in these fights now, able to get away from some of the silence. The biggest issue here really is you get silenced up by the Skywrath mage, you force the Manta out immediately, and then you get the AoE stun coming out from Puck.
Yeah.
That is a very real danger and possibility to the anti-mage. He is going for the Basher as well next, so he's not opting in on the BKB. I would love to see the Surax BKB come out as well. You mentioned the Yules before, but I also think that he desperately needs a BKB in this game.
Yeah, I think Yules or BKB, one of those two items is what he absolutely requires. I would prefer both because I think Yules is an amazing item on Invoker in general, but BKBs are going to be required. Even this anti-mage probably wants a BKB this game. You're never really happy as AM when you have to buy that item, but you don't really have an option. ID Unknown tries to smoke up right now. He's heading out by himself, but they're not going to find anybody. Oh no, they might find UIF. Just TP'd top. Doesn't really have mana either. This could be the coup of the century. They can pick up this kill.
If they can find the kill. Surax pretty much being the win condition for this though, and they're going to walk straight into him. Do they find this? No! Goes wide, but they still want a piece of them. They're going to do everything they can to get down the Arena of Blood as well. UIF in a lot of trouble. Separated from his side. Can they finish the job? Look at the damage from the dispersion. He's evading a lot. In comes the Invoker now. Should finally finish the job, and UIF does fall. Look at the damage though, Snare. That hurts so much. Imagine that in a team fight environment. They cannot afford to let that happen. And in comes the Puck. They're going to for a really good dream call one more time. They're going to bring down the Mars as well as the Warlock.
Yeah, that kill took so long for them to be able to get. And as a result, buys enough time for the rest of the team to come get revenge.
Unfortunately for the Lion, he finds himself caught out here. And although he does have some fancy footwork available to himself as the ward was almost down, they make no mistake but find the kill on the anti-mage as well. We have mentioned before, Ubik now for the first time in a very long time ahead of the net worth, and he's moving in on that Basher.
Basher is the dangerous item in this game. But we have been seeing more and more often how much trouble they're having in general with lockdown. You should probably leave middle. I know it's actually fine. Until Lion comes back, he probably doesn't die. But they are starting to become really, really fearful of what happens when the Spectre is locked down. When she's able to have free movement, she's definitely the most dangerous here on the map, as we saw in that engagement with the Dispersion and the Radiance going back in the opposite direction. But if there's more lockdown and more control, it should be possible to kill the Spectre a lot quicker.
They really need something as well to address the dispersion. For example, a Vlad's coming out on the Mars would do so much work just assist this anti-mage and reducing the amount of damage he's taking in those engagements. Remember, that Spectre literally dealt all of that damage by the dispersion and his radiance. He didn't throw out a single right click.
Just chilling, surviving, being alive. Unfortunately, though, Mars, let's be serious, is basically a third support this game, has had a really rough time. Not really been able to get anything going in any meaningful capacity. He's bottom 3 net worth right now.
Go off onto the anti-mage. He has opted not to, in fact he doesn't have it at the moment, does now manage to get away from the first engagement. They're going to bring him down, finish off the job. They will with a Frostbite, Finger of Death.
I'm kind of surprised he didn't try to blink into the river. The snap would have done a lot of damage, but there's still an opportunity maybe that you survive.
Oh, they want a piece of this as well. They drop the alley. May just be scum, but look at the insane amount of damage that's doing. Mount Chitty here, less than half HP just to the Radiance burn and the Spectral illusions. That's like very concerning.
Both supports could have easily died if the Spectre had decided to commit upon them. And as she gets stronger, they probably will die just from the illusions themselves.
Almost a completed Agam Sept on the Invoker. That is, regardless of our concerns about it, still a very powerful item on the Invoker. Could give them the opportunity to get off their one extra spell, whatever it might be, just do a little bit more work in these team fights. But it does feel like they need just that one item. They always feel like they're one item away from being able to control these team fights, and they're slipping further and further behind. And when that one item becomes 2 items, that's when you really see team fights starting to fall apart.
Yeah. The scary thing right now is the item that's going to be coming next up on the team, which terrifies me the most, is going to be this Aghanim Scepter for the Skywrath Mage. They're already having so many issues being able to move around these fights, both with mobility and in terms of being silenced up. Once you get this Ags going, and the double spells, double silences, double concussive shots, makes this game a lot more difficult.
Find Frostbite at the very least.
Yeah, bye-bye Frostbite.
Get something. One thing we spoke about in the previous matchup is finding these kills on the sport is important. just slows down the game, gives you more opportunity. Ubik also making his way towards the Abyssal Blade, which means they have some kind of control for the puck. It's been a massive problem, but if he does blink on the puck, gets the Abyssal off, certainly will be able to destroy him before he has any opportunity. Only 1600 HP, so not really tanky. He relies on that evasive behavior.
I actually kind of feel like once this Abyssal Blade comes out, if the Anti-Mage blinks onto anybody except the Lifestealer, can probably solo kill them. But doing so is also going to mean that he sacrifices having buyback in order to have it. And they're picking out inside his map. I hope Childish has some D-wards. Yep, has some sentries ready. There we go. They need to make sure they actually get some of their own positive vision on their side of the map. There is a sentry ward and an observer that are going to expire right next to the shrine. Fortunately, that will end soon. And we finally do get it. The Aghanim Scepter is now available for the Invoker. Does come out at the same time as the Dagon 3 for the puck, but I do think that the power spike for Aghanims is bigger than the power spike for Dagon 3. Oh, and they found the D-wards.
Which is actually a big influx of gold. You can see 224, so definitely paying off. And it gives a little bit there too. Was it the Lich that actually did the dewarding?
It was a Mars. Mars dewarded the one observer ward, and then the Anti-Mage got the other one.
Now I want to point out that there's another trick in this tale we haven't spoken much about. It's Mount Chili. Actually, not on the Lich, by the way. I think I may have even called it the wrong way at times. Just how much he's actually playing the Warlock in this matchup, which is quite interesting. First time we've seen him move off the line and the Lich.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen many chaotic offerings come out. And should you start doing so, could be some serious work. They find a kill actually onto the line on the back lines there. But Anti-Mage does have to back out, goes away, but on the sidelines they may be interested in going on to Childish Constantino. But Zarkun does go the wrong way, buying Childish a little bit of extra time, but they will finish off the job. But this could be paid off poorly, and they trade off the support of one of the most expensive heroes in the game at the moment. And in comes Unit. He's got Alacrity on as well. He's destroying this Lifestealer. He went straight in, trying to survive, buy himself a little bit of HP, but being burnt down. And in comes Syrax, making sure he's slowed up. What a play here! What a fantastic moment for the guys from Ligbron, and they can make so much work. What's the buyback status like? There's nothing available on the puck. They may not know that though, but they are still pressing their advantage. They want to bring down this tier 2 mid lane. The creep wave, favorable, was moving towards it already. Ubik going to make sure that there's no incentive for these creeps to interfere with what they're doing. He goes straight back into the Skywrath Mage. Doesn't finish the job, does scare him off a little bit. They can potentially put a little bit more pressure. Some objectives still required here. It's a good passage of play, but not quite enough.
Yeah, they get the tier 2 tower. It is the bright thing for them to do. This time around, we do see that it's going to be Parkland that fall prey to save your buddy syndrome. In the mid lane, they came in to try to save Frostbite. They even haunted in for that play. UIF hoping to get somebody on the backlines, but unfortunately it gets turned around upon them. They lose 2 of their core heroes there. And the big one is the puck, right? Because losing the Spectre, you expect that you're not going to lose Spectre. Losing the Lifestealer is not really playing a primary core role in this game. But losing Puck, you really want to be accelerating as much as possible right now, especially because you went for this Dagon build. So this is the period of the game where you want to be showing your dominance. You don't want to just go ultra late with this Dagon build. That was the plan. You would have gone for like the Shivas or Ags. So really good kills, and again, extends how much time they have to play in this game. It was about 16k gold lead, cresting on 20 not too long ago. Now, slash back down to 13. I think it's going to come down to 12 a little bit.
And we're reaching that point again where things like the BKB probably in fact, there we go. On the mind of the like of the Invoker. So once these items start opening up, there's going to be a lot more in it for them. I think the biggest concern once again, as you mentioned, is the likes of the Mars need to find themselves a little bit more value in this game so far. But right now, Syrax and his cohort Nubik doing a very good job at making this game very competitive. And it looks like, I thought for a second that Nubik was going for Heart, but he's actually going for the Abyssal. He has got it completed, but one may expect Heart comes out next time. Obviously not fantastic against the Lifestealer, but Age Hold gives you the opportunity to blink out of the fight and come back in at a later stage.
He might opt to go for the MKB. They might say to him, listen man, your primary focus and role in this game is making sure Spectre dies. If you can achieve that end, we don't really care what else happens. So I would be okay with that, because if he gets that item, he can just get directly on the Spectre, make sure she dies, even through the Radiance and the Butterfly that she has available now. So we'll see the decision that gets made. And we saw Invoker actually switched up his decision-making apparatus. He went for the Blink Dagger instead of opting for the BKB. So they have now more engagement options. The Mars is not going to be one of the primary fight starters anymore, even though he does have this Blink Dagger. They're saying Syrax rather be able to get onto the backlines, find the Lion, find the Skywrath Mage before they start to become an issue.
Yeah, I guess that is one way to deal with it. I mean, we speak about BKBs to work with team fights, but They're opting instead to prevent the team fights from happening here with the combination of these two being able to jump on top of somebody. And right now, it is in fact the likes of the Puck that need to be really concerned, because you can get caught out very easily by quick fingers anti-mage blinking on, getting off the instantly cast Abyssal Blade. Obviously, can still potentially catch him out by getting your own phase shift out and blinking back, but easier said than done.
AM is going to start becoming an issue. Like a real, I mean, it's already a problem right now, but it can become more problematic as the game starts to go on. Going for the butterfly to make sure that he empowers himself and his illusions, gives himself some mischance as well, so Spectre doesn't have an easy go at this hero. And I must say, UIF, as much as he's been farming quite well for a while, we haven't seen the Spectre really have a positive impact in quite some time. I think they are also starting to experience some real problems with the Spirit Vessel, making life really complicated for them in these fights. Surex in general, I think he has to be the primary priority target whenever they want to go onto Ligbron. And also, one thing we haven't even looked at, we haven't actually seen a chaotic offering dropped in this game. No. So they've been taking these team fights, not even taking them at their full strength, and it's still possible that they get stronger. As soon as they get level 10 out on this Warlock, suddenly Mount Chili doesn't have to be nearby the team fights anymore to be able to get off all his spells. These are all still really useful spells. We haven't actually seen this Warlock have that big of an impact outside of the Shadow Words being used. So now in the upcoming engagements, imagine that there's Fatal Bonzes as well. Can really make an outsized difference to this game.
I totally agree. We spoke about during the drafting phase how amazing that could be, but even just the interruption caused by Infernal can do a lot of work. Smoke though, coming out. Scouting ranks, they know exactly. Surex knows what's happening, but does he know it's what it is? He turns his attention, he thinks this is a warding mission, but it is not. And he's going to get caught out in a big way here, and they make sure that he is brought down pretty quickly, but the ulti comes out from the anti-mage. Ubik does do a lot of damage. Need to see that golem go down now. This would be the time. Still not commit. No usage of that golem going to cost, because there was the opportunity to potentially turn on that fight. But in the end, they're going to lose 3 for just the Skywrath Mage, and this is an opportunity once more for Parklands to just barrel down mid-lane and potentially get some real estate here.
And no buyback available on the Invoker. Man, that was... like, yeah, Surex actually had the opportunity to be able to blink away in that situation. And at this stage of the game, there's almost a 0% chance that an enemy support hero is running around by themselves.
Because they could potentially pick up the lifesteal here. So much work being done by Ubik, but they are going to bring in the Puck. In comes the Arena of Blood, but this was probably a mistake. Ubik was safe, and now yet another hero down for the count. Literally back in a couple of seconds. They've still managed to keep their tower up for the time being, but the real important thing is getting down this Infernal. And once more, they've managed to control this Warlock, and they should be able to finish the job. Nope, no Dagon available?
No, he had to go phase shift because he was standing right next to Ubik.
Well, Lich comes out with the Chain Frost. It is doing work, so to buy them at least the surviving melee racks. You pick up one on Ubik, but against the support, they haven't found the key targets that they wanted. Dropping the ward nicely, going to give them some vision. Beware, there is a lifesteal inside here as well. And he drops out. A lot of trouble here for Ubik as he's brought down. Immediate buyback though.
Oh my
Does
God.
he make something? He's going into this one. He needs the support though. Cancels the TP.
Yeah, it seems like in the last couple of minutes something just happened where they sort of fell apart here. It was not looking too terrible before that death on Surex. I think they would have even been able to hold the upcoming engagement, but sort of going in one by one, not really playing as a team anymore. Had they held on to, like if the Mars didn't go in at the beginning there, like you mentioned, Ubik was safe, and if he just held on for a little bit longer to use the Arena of Blood, maybe they can use the Arena with the Chain Frost, with the Warlock ultimate, and compound all of that with the damage from the Anti-Mage. But instead, because they sort of lost their team capability there for a moment, they end up in a situation where Ubik dies, has to buy back massively and adversely affect his gold progression.
All right, let's spot out Ubik again here. Puck will have the blink tag. He just needs to track him down. Does do so. Unfortunately, Ubik again caught out by a lot of stuns and a lot of damage already being delivered. They're going to have Haunted as well. UIF managed, and that is critical to this game because he is down for 2 minutes. They pick up the Warlock as well. A couple more. Unfortunately, one more time, things just falling apart here towards the later stages, and there's no reason in the world for Isaiah Parklands not to just go straight down middle, finish this game out right now. Anti-Mage unavailable, a lot of heroes on the deck. To be frank, Surex would have to do something fairly magical to bring themselves back into this game at this point.
This Invoker is going to have to be at God level somehow. And man, that Ubik, Ubik. It really does seem like they just fell apart at the very end of the game here. The Blow Machine boys were actually looking good. Now almost certain to lose at least one lane of racks, but they've actually retreated with the puck to go pick up some bounty runes. The rest of the team is still here, and Puck doesn't have BT.
Oh, they try to go in with the Arena, but they do finally get it off, and they get off a Deafening Blast as well. This time we finally do see the going work. Are there Fatal Bonds connected to it? I believe they are, so a lot of damage is coming out. There's the Chain Frost as well. They've managed to bring down one, but look at the damage coming out here onto Charles and Sambino from Tropsy. They found one. Have they held those Snare? They've still got 4 versus 2 at the moment, but they have managed to dissuade further aggression for the time being. Quist now does come in. Very keen to get on top of the Invoker. Surax forced to Ghost Walk back. And they're going to lose their first set of racks here. Anti-Mage still down for 42 seconds. One good news is they've headed up towards the top lane. There is a tier 2 tower still standing. So instead of moving straight towards bottom, where they could have almost certainly picked up at least the set of racks before the respawn has happened, they've totally done a full back here. And it does give some breathing room. Surax gets caught up by Zarkun again. Once again, no answers to it. This time, tossed into the air, still being controlled. Can they finish the job? Looks like they will be able to do so. And Surax also brought down now. Does he have buyback? Not either.
Does not.
So although they have the anti-mage backup now, they've lost their Invoker, and it looks like the callers to finish off these tier 4 towers.
Yeah, they want to take the game right now. They understand just how far ahead they are. They're like, let's take this opportunity to win out this game. The Spectre just picked up Abyssal Blade as well, and has
Arena
Haunt.
Blood is used. Let's see what they can do. The Haunt, as mentioned, used. And now Charge Sternbeer forced back. Anti-Mage doing what he can. Find something on the back lines. We're going to have to do so much more. Blinks back. Still unable to find the kills he needs. Now going Toto at the UF, going to remove all his mana. But the bash does come up. They're going to pull him back in with the Sinister Gaze. But UF happy to be here. Targeting the heroes in the fountain at the moment. They've exposed the throne as well. Invoker still unavailable for a while. Warlock, no ulti, but does have the Fatal Bonds. Will connect with him. In goes the Anti-Mage. He manages to get off a little bit of damage here, but he's being bashed up as well by UIF with the Abyssal. Silenced up and brought down one more time. And unfortunately for Parklands, they're going to have to call the GG. Fantastic work here. Very impressive. Unfortunately for Ligbron, they had to call the GG. Parklands get the GG, and they've done fantastically well in this series. And I think deservedly making the way to the finals. We expect that they'll be facing Grey. Not too sure what the outcome of that previous matchup, but I think this does set up for a beautiful final. And take a moment to take a bow. Ligbron, I think you did some very entertaining Dota. Clearly some work there, expanding on the hero pool. We've spoken a lot about ways in which these sides can improve. But I think 2 very powerful players on their roster already, who I think can teach that team, guide them into a far more confident position going forward in the future. And it must be said, they did look like they were trying to work together as a squad, trying to make things work, and they'll only get better at that. And I think next time around we may see a fine performance coming from them. But that's done. There's Parklands take this convincingly 2-0 in the end. 2-0,
and I think they only lost 2 Grey at this event thus far, so it's going to basically be a rematch for them with the one team that they haven't been able to beat, and let's see what they've learned, right? Because definitely Ligbron, much better side that we see them now than they were at the beginning. They're only going to get better. Parklands, we didn't get to see them yesterday, so we don't know what the improvement has actually been, and we're going to see them be really, really tested later on today and see whether or not their training yesterday, the games that they underwent, actually pay off and giving them a result now.
Well, on that note, I think we're probably going to jump to a short break. We'll be back in a little while here. CSGO will be taking up on the main stage again, so hope for those of you who are big fans of the Pew Pew life, you enjoy the games. We, of course, will be bringing this grand final on the B stream, so for those of you who are still enjoying the Dota, don't worry, we will be bringing it through to you. But from Stan and myself, I guess it's time to say goodbye. Cheerio, friends.
Okay, cool guys, here at Comic-Con 2019, huge upgrade from last year. Here obviously for the VS Gaming tournaments that are going on. VS Gaming's been a great platform for gamers, new and old alike, to come and show their medals, show what they got. It's been such a great platform for us to play throughout the year, come together, show the different guys what we got and how we perform, and then the setup here this year is a massive upgrade.
Well, I think drive imagination. So in driving imagination, it allows parents to engage closer with their kids. So I definitely think it's a conversation to encourage, and it's definitely an expansion into exploring life with your kids and having fun and being creative.
Hey guys, I'm Goku. This is Raphael. My name's Graham. This is Leo. I think it's super important that dads encourage their kids to enjoy a day like this. I think it's super important. A lot of my heroes are comic book heroes, and they don't really exist in real life, and this is my one day that I get to celebrate them along with my kids, and they celebrate it with me. So it's a symbiotic relationship, and it's super cool. And you know what? It's such a safe space to do it in, and people enjoy it. And one of my bucket list places to go is Comic-Con New York. So one day, hopefully, I'll get to go there. But I'm so glad it came here to SA. Thank you, SA. It's the best day of the year. Well, 4 days of the year. I've got a weekend pass, so it feels like one long ass day.